Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. My name is Khroen, and joining me is going to be Booposaurus. Boop, how are you doing this evening?
um un unbridled excitement for today. Like, I think there is a lot of changes, even though there hasn't been a lot of gameplay changes. So I'm excited to see what these players bring to the table, especially since we have a pretty awesome lobby today.
Oh yeah, we do. I mean, in terms of the meta, there's been no changes. Things have had a week to kind of stabilize and get solved and get developed. So gonna see how these amazing players do handle it. Speaking of players, let's just go ahead and introduce them. We're going to have Devless. We're gonna have Buzzy Boo as well, returning as Jose Paulo. We have some other gamers here as well. We got Zero Gravity Bear, Jirachi, Yiggles, Chung Money, and Bird to round out the lobby. But there's so many fantastic names here, Boop.
Yeah, and we also have some cross team
True.
shenaniganery right here with the Jirachi and their Pacific brethren, the OCE brethren there. So I believe a pretty close relationship with people like Jose Paulo. And I believe Jirachi is doing the duos tournament uh,
Yep.
with, I'm blanking on the name right now,
With,
Yiggles? No.
I believe it was with Buzzy Boo.
With Buzzy Boo. So yeah, some cross team shenaniganery here. Let's see who of those three is going to come out on top, because there's like a second game going on today.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I think there's definitely, we can say there's five favorites here. But as always in Fight Night, I'm really curious to see what the players like Zero Gravity, Bear, Chung Money, and Bird can do in a lobby that has so many familiar faces throughout all the TFT competitive scene. That's just so exciting, especially because, they've had time to practice on this patch. And they know that it's not really going to be changing, not really going to be going anywhere. We've seen some new developments as well. I think you were talking about it a bit, before we started the show with the Hellions, the Cannoneer kind of reroll thing that's happening there. I'm sure it's terrorizing people in a lot of their solo queue games, but that's certainly going to be one of the S tier comps, I think.
Yeah, I think there are arguments to make that there are a good amount of S tier comps, right?
Yeah.
Every time I come on here, I just like to see what people are saying, right? So I'll go on to certain websites and see what they're considering S tier, and there's a lot. There's a lot considered S tier on certain websites. So what that tells me is that there's still room to surprise. The thing that is so interesting about this particular meta is the late game has so many different decisions that you have to make because of emblems and items that not every lobby is going to be or feel the same very often.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, before we get too much further into this, do also have to, of course, say what these players are going to be competing over. It is going to be the rising prize pool, $100 going to first place, second place 50, third and fourth place going to be earning $25 apiece. And per usual, the top three will be invited back for next week's competition. But going back to the conversation about the meta, about these compositions, Boop, like you're talking about the fact that there's a lot of S tier compositions, I think, though, but I think there's still room for ones that aren't S tier, as always in TFT, right? To like have a good opener, have a good start, and still run away with a lobby, especially if it's a little bit low roll, or maybe some of the other comps are a bit too contested because there's gonna be a lot of things that are on these players' radar if they all get openers for like let's just say they all have openers for like A-Bomb Draconic all contesting each other, trying to hit those Heimers later on. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Well, and the last time we were here, Crowan, there was a AP heavy opening carousel, and we
Yeah,
saw a
true.
ton of Vel'Koz, right? And I don't think Vel'Koz is gonna be considered S tier by many unless it's a particular lobby. And that's what I mean. That's why I kind of want to follow up on what I said before, which is there are so many different kinds of choices, right?
Yeah.
When you hit your stimmy pack at 40 gold, right? When you hit your emblems, how many armories there are gonna be, right? Because sometimes at the end of the game, you'll have someone like A-Ray, like last week, with 6 spatula items, right?
Yeah, that was a ton.
And that's all a possibility. And while these decisions you make might only affect 2% of the game, 1% of the game, when you hit the late game, that's all you need sometimes, is that like little bit of oomph. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I personally, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to these. I think just the set in general. I just like love seeing reroll compositions work out. Maybe I'm just a degenerate now. I'm just like a casual gamer. I just force one thing and just keep re-rolling it. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for those things, like going back to the Hellions as well with the Tristana. But there's also a lot of things, like there's been like a Riven composition that's popping up where you tier 3 Riven, she can carry a lot of good AD items. So if it isn't necessarily just going to be that AP opening carousel and randomly AP focused lobby, could see those get into the swing of things as well. There's always going to be the potential of like Yasuo's as well, and a bunch of different things that can be approached with in this meta. I believe we're going to be loading into game right now, and we are on perspective with Devless, who was, of course, our last week winner.
Welcome back, Devless. Let's see where we're gonna go together on this ride, the Convergence. Starting off with a bow. Anyone know what's good this match?
Wait, who typed that? It's blocked. I want to know.
Already, what is it? Stirring the pot, if you will.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see what Devless is able to do coming in here, especially since that first carousel take was a bow, which I feel like below platinum is what everyone wants always, no matter what patch it is or year. It is going to be that bow, but that's totally okay because that bow can turn into a lot of really useful things as we've got a couple skirms already, good draconic opening. But yeah, like, this is just the early game, just like in any other meta. We're seeing which directions are possible right now, not necessarily choosing anything specific.
Definitely, and this is really good. I mean, you have the opener for Skirmisher, which you can still just run and transition out of it. You could stick with it, like there's the 4 Knights Jax composition that a lot of people are liking to run, and finding the Olaf 2 as well as the Udyr 2. Like, this is already just such a strong board. If we happen to like pre-level here, I think Devless is going to look for hit level 4, maybe find a Nidalee or a Kennen or just some other skirmisher Lee Sin, right? Having a 3 skirm buff online, fantastic. And you can go 3 Sentinel as well soon after for level 5. Like, this board can definitely win streak. Oh, there's a Lee Sin right there. And the Aurelia. Oh my.
Man.
And the pre-level.
Gold, yeah.
Wait, and the Nidalee. There's so many skirms.
So whenever you hear a caster laugh like that, it's only because they're a little jealous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That doesn't happen to them all the time in their games, because what we just saw was pretty out of the ordinary. That was what you would call a high roll. The fact of the matter is there are so many choices now presented for Devless, and they're all good. That they have to go through at this point in time. Like, the choices aren't, oh, what am I going to run? It's who I'm going to run because I've got too much.
Yeah. Exactly. I really was the perfect thing there. It gives not only 3 skirmisher, but 3 sentinel as well. Not opting to put any items on yet. Definitely wants to wait until the 2/2 armory to slam anything, because this board is just so strong anyway. It's going up against Buzzy Boo, who is level 3, can even buy the pair of Sorakas. There's like a world where we can maybe pivot to like some Soraka reroll, but that comp has definitely fallen out of, I think, favor for a lot of players. It's not the potential for a Runans is here. Maybe there's some argument for Titans that could be a bit more flexible, but probably some AD item is going to be the priority for Devless in this situation.
Yeah, because, something that we say all the time is you need to develop a front line. Well, we already have one, right? For this point in the game, what we have on the board is already good enough. So we're going to go ahead and invest in some offense, right?
Yep.
Especially, again, with the Aurelia, even now with the Rakan, the Sentinel, there's actually a good amount of front line there as we go to Jung Money. And this is one of the greatest boards that have ever been made in TFT, in my opinion. Love this arena, but we are looking at Dawnbringers right now, and unfortunately, there's someone else who already had most of these units on turn 1.
Yeah, gonna be taking out some of them, or at least one of the Dawnbringers to go 3 skirm. These skirmishers are, a little lacking though. They're only gonna be tier 1, going up against Jirachi, who has leveled so ridiculously aggressively to level 5 on 2/2. Just making sure to not only win their rounds, but to hard pressure the rest of the lobby. And when a lobby is sped up and this kind of pacing, I guess this tempo, I'll say, then it pressures all the other players to be making these decisions a lot earlier. It maybe does get them to the point where they can stabilize, because it gets them, closer to that 40 gold, the stimmy, the radiant blessing. But still, pressuring them is going to be exactly what Jirachi wants to do.
And that's exactly what they like doing, right? I don't
Yeah,
know a successful Jirachi game that doesn't start out with them on top of the lobby.
true.
I mean, and
Usually.
I got the pleasure of casting with them not too long ago, and they straight up told me that that's how they like to play,
Yep.
right? It's, you know, let's get that attrition battle going. And we have seen the top 4 experience at Fight Night be a pretty consistent way of playing, particularly in this lobby where the winner doesn't necessarily have a lobby win. You're going to lose the tiebreaker most likely if you don't, but, you know, it's not necessarily required. And when I think of that, I think of Jirachi, who, you know, we've seen develop 30, 40 HP point advantages, pushes the rest of the lobby down, and through attrition, you know, can lose 6, 7 consecutive rounds and finish in third.
That is true. I do remember when we were first starting to cast Jirachi in Fight Night that they did have a lot of fantastic openers from an HP lead, but didn't always translate them, I think, to top finishes like they would expect. Like they were still getting like fifths and like maybe barely scraping for some scenario. But that being said, I do think Jirachi has improved immensely from, you know, when we first saw them here, and they're able to pull away these, you know, HP leads into getting, you know, those top 3 kind of solidifying victories. And I'm going to be expecting that performance from Jirachi as well moving forward, especially with this board that they've crafted right now, right? They already have Abomination. Aatrox 2 is like fine just for Legionnaire buff. Certainly not going to be there forever, but still solid and still a big reason why that Jirachi's 100 HP right now.
Yeah, super solid. And when you're thinking of an early game comp, it's this one. And so, I mean, this is one of the best in the game. If you want to whip off a win streak and continue going to Wolves at least, lock in that Draconic or that Abomination, right? Whatever comes first. So, Abomination is going to be the name of the game right now. And with these units being tier 2 in the front line and with that Callista in the back line, we should be pretty good to go to compete for wins against everyone in the lobby.
I wonder if Jirachi is seriously considering going for a Misfortune pivot, because holding one Misfortune on the bench, probably not, I would say. The Archangels is not only going to be one of the best in slot items for Misfortune, but also going to be fantastic on what this Abomination comp usually wants to land on the late game, which is going to be, you know, Heimerdinger or Teemo board. Going to be fantastic for that. Does need, you know, at least one more tier for it. Jirachi spam emoting, getting a little... getting a little feisty there, but okay, Ivern is going to be a decent pickup, as well as the Ash for the Draconic potential.
And a lot of people are locking in Draconic a little bit later. They're totally fine with starting that win streak with the Abomination and then letting Draconic be a little bit extra money moving into it. That is something that I'm seeing a little bit more of. If you can't lock it in early enough, don't fret. It can still be a possibility. But yeah, again, we saw that round last longer than most Abomination rounds, and it still wasn't close. So we can assume that this is going to continue moving forward. And this is pretty good information for Jirachi, knowing that someone else, their friend and colleague Buzzyboo, who unfortunately to the date wasn't everything that they dreamed of last week, is gonna fall prey to the Jirachi.
At least we got confirmation on how the date went. You know, I respect it. Thank you, Buzzyboo, for detailing. Apparently, it was still good though for what it was, but either way. Jirachi taking a big chunk out of Buzzyboo's HP. Buzzyboo and Zero Gravity Bear down at 62 HP. Pretty low for being on Krugs. Not the worst, but definitely not excited about that one, seeing as there's a 20 HP gap between those and Bird, who is in 6th currently.
So the issue, right, is that 62 might not be the worst, but it's definitely on the side of being worse than it being okay. You can expect to lose with this comp. That's something that is completely within Buzzyboo's control with this particular composition, especially like when you think of Vayne, you think of loose streaking, in my opinion, as it's just going to be gold coming through. But at least we hit 50, which we were going to hit anyway next round. And we get some attack speed, which is good. It's all right. It's not a complete wash.
I think this is actually exactly what Buzzyboo wants. I think already having, okay, now it's going to be 7 Vaynes. Yeah, this is going to be a full hyper roll, traditional old school style for these forgotten units. No Vaynes coming through though, unfortunately. Okay, there we go. Vayne 3 with still 30 gold left. Hecarim 2, Thresh 2. This is very, very nice for Buzzyboo. This actually could be a top 1 composition from this point. Buzzyboo needs to land like a jeweled gauntlet, and I actually don't know what the third best in slot Vayne item is going to be at this point, because it used to be in set in the previous set with shadow items, it used to be the Zeke's Bleak Herald, but that's not, of course, going to function or actually even exist anymore.
We'll see what Radiant item might find their way onto the Vayne as well, because just like that, players like Buzzy know exactly how to turn the tide and when a team comp's going to win or lose. As Yiggles and Jirachi, speaking of not losing, hasn't just yet. We're looking on the other side of the board, which is the Zero Gravity Bear. Showing that there is a little bit of gravity in the lobby right now. And
Yep.
Buzzy Boo at 62, but this is expected with this particular comp. But we do finally have that front line locked in and that damage. It's lacking that damage until we do have this Vayne, which we finally do.
Yep, the Vayne and the Runaan's, big hits. The only really concern, if there is one, is going to be, of course, the frontline stability. Hecarim excels being Hecarim 2 until about this point, but then you're going to start to, as we reach the middle to the end of Stage 3, going to need some actual tanky items on them. Is going to eventually fall in some of these fights. Maybe not right now, because the Vayne's still there to pump enough damage quickly enough, but soon that horse will not be so resilient.
And the issue again, right, is a lot of people won't invest in their front line early enough, and
Yep.
so when they get to a point where they need it, they don't have one, right, because they've been getting offensive items this entire time. So we might actually fall into that trap right in front of our eyes with Buzzy Boo right now, which is this is good for now, but there is a cliff that we're getting very close to that we need to avoid. We need to get time out of that front line, and there just isn't going to be a lot of time created eventually once we hit like 4-1-4-2 if these units haven't been upgraded. But we already have 6 Hecarims, so that's a great step.
This is a little bit interesting of a spot for Buzzy Boo, because 6 Hecarims means that, okay, you might actually want to reroll for the Hecarim 3. But if you're just rerolling for one unit, because Buzzy Boo's already decided to sell the Thresh, so we're not going for Thresh 3 as well, it probably should just be prioritizing levels from the spot. But Buzzy Boo might get baited by the Hecarim option. Hopefully not, though. I think Buzzy Boo is an intelligent enough player to not get baited. It's just running it because it's good enough now. Hopefully we find it later naturally on level 7 or 8, but really shouldn't over-prioritize it.
Yiggles and Jirachi, just want to point out, it's been a bunch of rounds so far.
Wow, yeah.
We're coming up to 10, and they have yet to play each other. So eventually that battle will come through, and someone will enter potentially this Radiant round with a win streak. And whoever goes into Wolves with a win streak, if one of them is able to, is going to have a pretty nice advantage going into round 4-1, because they are making a ton of money right now, but they're probably spending a lot of it as well.
Yeah, probably spending it on some aggressive leveling up, just trying to, keep the win streak going. Going to be out accelerating, outpacing the lobby. And speaking of that, going back to the matter of the aggression at hand, it is players like Zero Gravity Bear who have gotten the short end of the stick and are, 26 HP already. That's insanely low. Not only did they lose every round, but losing it by like 4 to 5 units at least, if not like 6 the past couple of rounds. I like also Bird's little picture there.
Empty void. It's actually just a picture of my heart.
Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know how they got that. That's so weird.
Boot back with a self-deprecating humor.
Gotta love it. That's how you know I'm feeling good. Weird. But yeah, we're gonna be looking at Draconic now. This is a Draconic A-bomb composition. This is what the Jirachi wants as well. Jirachi, of course, a little further ahead, has had their abominations for a while. But now that we have that Fiddlesticks, we can lock in some Mystics a little bit later, because Mystic Revenant is a comp that you can end game with. And so I wonder if that is going to be some potential, or we're going to stick with this Zyra, seeing that we have that Shojin's on her.
Yeah, the Zyra's going to be great for carrying in the mid game. Unfortunately, I think positioning could have been a bit different for Bird there. The Fiddlesticks doesn't have any Revenants currently, so it's going to die without, getting any ult value off. And the Zyra wasn't really protected all that well. But still, the makings of a strong board are still there. Meanwhile, Jirachi and Yiggles still on that streak, still have not faced each other. It's going to happen eventually. Just a matter of time. But now it's 3-6. The Radiant items come through. The Earth Angel's Staff is going to be fantastic for what Bird is working with. The Zyra does want to be a Heimerdinger a bit later on. We do want to get to level 8 as fast as possible. Wondering what the other consideration is here, because it should just be Airfandle staff every time.
It should be, right? But I think whenever you're running Abomination, Guardian Angel just feels like a good like choice, like in your head. But we actually get the
Oh.
Dragon's Claw. We are very afraid of not having a frontline right now. We don't get access to Heimerdinger if we're not alive to be there, right? So we're going to give a
Yeah.
little bit more power to the Abomination. While the result might not be what they wanted, I do think the idea is definitely there and should help this Abomination at least rip through most of the units or win through those rounds. And it's already paying off
Yeah, it is going to make the
for this round.
Abomination a lot tankier. It's going to find some value, perhaps just being on the brand as well. The Zyra is only on Zyra 1, so investing all this power could be a bit too risky, a bit too centered on just, you know, getting 8, rolling a Heimerdinger. Because if you do roll or go level 8 and you miss the rolls, then it's probably just a BG from there. So this decision, I think, might get another extra couple of placements, but it might not be able to, you know, get you to that top 2, top 1 if you do actually stabilize as expected.
So we're looking at Chug Money right now, and we have the IE Jeweled Gauntlet combo if we want it. This team comp is rough right now. We are definitely going to need some upgrades and some baby brigade, which I call level 1 units at the late game. And at least we get the Ivern, who is such a solid unit. Ivern 2 should be able to stall some timeout to get this Karma into one auto attack territory. But who are we going to give the damage to? It's going to be the Karma.
Okay, interesting. I wonder if it's Karma just because we want her to have, you know, the staying power of being on this board, or just not really relying on a Vel'Koz without any mana items to have a lot of impact. I think at this stage of the game, the Vel'Koz would be a little bit better with these items. Karma will scale a little bit better, however. See if it ends up working out. No mana items is awkward. The Nidalee finds her way into the back line. Starting to tear away.
This Dragon's Claw is actually getting a ton of value. Pretty much
Yeah.
killed the Karma with its return attacks, and we're actually going to look away for a hot minute and lose as Zero Gravity, again, suffering from a lot of gravity at the bottom of the leaderboard.
Too much.
It's only 4-2, and we're at single digits. That is not where you want to find yourself. That's like... you know, getting lost in a city that you don't know very well, and you have no idea how to get out, right? And so this is where I think Chug Money is living at this point, as we just...
Someone's at the door, maybe?
Yeah,
take some time to think about the
Make sure you gotta... Maybe it's mom being like, pause the game. I know you can pause it. I see it on the television sometimes, but we actually move past the Vel'Koz. We are just going to give it up completely in Econ up to 30 gold.
I mean, if the Karma 2 wasn't landed on, I think there's the potential to go Vel'Koz just to stabilize. The Thieves' Gloves now being the extra item slam means that we're really just hoping that Karma, we can live until, you know, the stage 5 carousel, find a good Karma item there. Really need the Garen to come online though. 6 Dawnbringer is what Chug Money wants. There is a Nico's help as well to get a Garen 2 online, but still had to spend a lot of gold just to stabilize on 7, as opposed to, you know, being able to aggressively go 8. And Zero Gravity Bear doesn't have the chance to go level 7, as they do go out here on 4-2. Is that the earliest you've seen someone eliminated 4-2?
Maybe.
I think it might be. It might tie it at least.
But the craziest thing about that is the fact that Zero Gravity had a Tristana 3. We were running a Hellion reroll, but it seems like Tristana 3 was the only thing that could actually run. And we're just going to put those Tristanas back into the pool because we do have another Hellion player. But what's very interesting is since we've left Buzzy Boo on those Forgottens, it has been all Buzzy Boo in this lobby, as Jirachi and Yiggles have both lost 2 or 3 rounds in a row at this point. So Jirachi has the Golden Thief's Glove. So that's going to re-roll into a couple different items, and it's going to randomly select one for the Abomination. It's going to be the Thornmail this time that Thrand is going to throw over to their buddy Arnold. But right now, it is going to be the auto crits for that Karma that should be able to at least stymie this Abomination for now. The Jirachi, though, with 50 gold, is actually in a pretty good place.
Yep, looking to be pretty stable there. Speaking of not stable, or the other side of that spectrum, I guess it's gonna be Jose. Being level 6, also going Hellions, is 16 HP. Looks to be still 3 Tristanas away as well. This Hellion comp, when it's contested, can definitely be doomed. Like, we have Poppy 3, which is fine, like, you want the Poppy, but she doesn't have any items. There's gonna be the Morellos on the Kennen, which is really, really good. A Hellion Spatula as well to get the 6 Hellion plus Cannoneer online at level 6, but it's really just not enough. Like, do we consider making this tier glove into a Hodge for the Tristana? Like, that's not gonna be best, but it's okay. Selling the Lucian there even to... Okay, we find Tristana 3.
Investing the Nikos, just really worried about not being able to roll into it because leveling up to 7 is pretty important here. Definitely by 5-1 if we're able to make it, as we throw the Hellion Spat onto another Cannoneer. Not Lucian this time, it's going to be the Boo instead, it's going to be Senna. But there is a lot of potential for this Tristana to start popping off, and does better than Zero Gravities already by taking out the Karma at the beginning of the fight. But is that going to be enough, especially with this Ivern continuously putting Daisy out onto the field? Oh,
looks like it. Yeah.
There it is. And so even though Chung Money did delete the other Hellion player from the game, it's going to lose to this one. And that's just that's how she, rolls when it comes to TFT.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a positioning diff, I think. Depending on what corner Tristana's jumping into, it can make or break fights. Also, having the Hellion emblem as well, to have 6 Hellion buff online is huge for Tristana's attack speed. For when she actually gets into the back line, she can take out those carries a lot faster, so they have less time to throw out their one ability that could either CC Tristana or just damage the rest of the board. So Jose is in an okay spot. It's still going to be hard to fully recover from here. But it would start, I think, especially with rolling into the Kennen 3. That would be a big hit. Needs to just worry about positioning for all the rest of them so far, and looks like the positioning is great for this fight.
Oh man, that Nidalee didn't dodge a thing.
No.
During that round. Why don't the Nidalees I go up against do that? I mean, I think every single shot actually hit, as Buzzy Boo finally loses for the first time since we left their POV, and Devless and Jirachi winning once again. That is not what you want to see if you're the rest of this lobby. That means they have stabilized and they've gotten through their weak point so far. As we have a lot of HP to spend for things like Teemo as well, but Thief's Gloves with the Garen, that's always gonna... Garen, pretty item agnostic, will be able to benefit from most items. But yeah, this team comp is still pretty gnarly, even though it might visually not look like it. And again, I think that kind of just goes to show how good the early game for the Jirachi was in the positioning on where it is now, where we might know that we're gonna lose, but we're gonna lose by 2 units instead of 3.
Yeah, they've gotten to this point pretty well. They did win just the last round, but lost the previous before that. So now being level 8, having a lot of gold to roll down with, they find the Heimerdinger. That will definitely find its way onto the board. You usually want the items in the Heimer as well, as opposed to the Teemo. Maybe it's going to be okay. Putting Gwen online as well. Selling the Garen. Heimer not finding its way onto the board, though.
The Garen is nice for people like Teemo, right? Because of that shred. So they're not going to have that frontline shred. Let's see if that's going to affect the damage output of the Teemo. Not a ton of beefiness, especially in the front line to protect, but a really nice poly onto the Tristana saves the Lulu's life. It actually may have delayed this enough to take the win, as Jose Paulo might be eliminated here. Just in the... Man, 3 HP in a dream, 7 HP for Chung Money. Bird at 12. The top part of this lobby has been bullying this lobby almost for the entirety of it, and they're not even at max power yet.
Yeah, the Jirachi is just getting so much stronger every single round. Even just that round, finding the Volibear to replace Set, finding the Teemo 2 as well as a huge upgrade. This is very, very scary. Having the Chalice as well, the Radiant Chalice with these gloves rolled to buff up this Teemo, is very likely for Jirachi to keep on win streaking at this point.
So that Teemo is going to get a little bit of extra oomph from that Chalice. I believe everyone gets a little bit of lifesteal from their spells.
Yep.
And so the brand also going to get stronger as time goes on with that Titans, but it doesn't even look like it's going to have time to even fully stack. Not enough time for 25 auto attacks from the brand. That was a wipe. It might have been against a ghost, but you should be feeling pretty confident if you are Jirachi, as BuzzyBoo is going to win. Devless is next, and no, Devless actually loses out that round, leaving an opening for the top of the lobby win at the end of this lobby.
Yeah, still, there's such a separation from the top four to the bot four. It's Jose clinging on to life with 3 HP, same with Bird, but with 5 HP. Really, really, the pacing of this lobby from the top half is just seemingly insurmountable by the rest, and Yiggles is still making a lot of improvements to this board. Finding Akshan 2 at this point has 3 really good items for him as well. This is a board that features a little bit of everything, Boop. There's not like Rangers in here. There's still like a Teemo for Invokers, which isn't really going to be super impactful, but it's still okay at this point. There's still a lot I think that Yiggles wants to do for this board, but it's still at a good spot.
Ooh, Shroud, not that great. Only on the Senna. That's probably the least valuable target on the field. Really clutch ult from the Akshan, and now let's see if it's going to be enough to take over the game. Jose Paulo on Elimination Station. Yiggles might be punching that ticket, but it's gonna have to wait another round as Jose Paulo at level 6 at 5-3 takes down Yiggles at level 8.
Still level 6, Jose. Bird does fall in 6. Jose's at least top 5, but still a few rounds longer to get into the top 4. I don't know if that's going to be enough for it, though. While still being level 6 at this point, needs to have immaculate Tristana positioning and more.
Immaculate Tristana positioning. That's a lot to ask for in Khroen.
Yes.
As Tristana it's going to be the name of the game, right? There have been plenty of comps where it's been a positioning diff. Ari comes to mind. Do you put her in the front line? Do you put her in the corner hex? Do you put her, next to the corner? How are you going to get that ult in time? And I think it's the same situation here with Tristana, but it's trying to manipulate where she hops. And so now we're going to maybe put in another Invoker. We're going to pass by those Syndras, even though we could have leveled up. We're going to continue powering up our Akshan, and that should help them out, especially now with the Rage Blade. That's the coolest part about Rage Blade and Rangers. Once that Ranger buff comes through, those still stack, and so when that Ranger buff does leave, you're kind of at a net neutral.
Yeah, a little bit of a BG on the Shroud positioning is moving it actually to the wrong side, like every time, because not enough time to scout. Eagles is trying to spend all this time to improve the board. It's still, I think, going to be okay in this round just because the Forgotten Reroll is kind of getting outscaled at this point. Akshan 2 just does way too much damage. There's even a Teemo 2 that has joined this board at this point as well, and the Shojins for it. Jose still hanging on. Jirachi back on a 5-win streak. This is some of the most impressive Jirachi play that I've seen in a while, and it leans back to, like we were mentioning earlier, Boop, that very aggressive early style that Jirachi plays so well with nowadays.
And everyone playing this meta very conservatively, so there's an opening to a little bit more of a push-oriented style like Jirachi's. It accelerates the lobby. Look at where we're at right now. We're going to enter 6-1 with a top 4. There have been times where we've had 7 people remaining at the same exact point, but that's what happens when the top of the lobby is so dominant, not just for 1 or 2 rounds, but entire chapters of this game so far, as this Morello's Kennen, such a great unit to go along with some tank items like you're seeing right now, as Jose Paulo trying to sneak into that top 4, and we're pretty good at sneaking. They're hunted rabbits, my friends, as these Cannoneers are going to take down Devless, and now that we're getting levels, Jose Paulo might have been able to sneak into that top 4, but the top and bottom of this leaderboard on fire right now.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Devless has lost literally every single round in stage 5 down to 15 HP, whereas they were towards the top of the lobby just that stage ago. Runan's now not being a fantastic item to improve this board state. We can think about maybe dropping, the 6th Sentinel and putting the Ivern and Volibear on the field. That would be solid, because it does not look like the 6 Sentinels are getting the job done. The Lucian is getting jumped on by Tristanas. Is just not like, these are fantastic items for Lucian, but I guess it's just not enough. We haven't seen every single fight.
Oh
but it's
no,
getting
this roll
outscaled.
down is not good.
Nope.
We're gonna have to invest in ecos and just choose one of these units potentially, or none. And when you get choice taken away from you like that, that does not feel good. We're gonna value the Ivern a little bit more, assumingly, but I mean, we couldn't ecos it if we really wanted it in, as we're doing the nice little switching sides, little tech. And do you want to help our friends understand what just happened there?
Yeah, you could use TFT hotkeys. Make sure to look them up. You know, W key, place the units onto the bench back on the field, and you can do that to swap sides very, very quickly. Nice little micro mechanic you can utilize in your TFT games if you want to throw your opponents off at the last second.
Micro mechanic. That sounds
But
like a
it's not
sweat job.
enough. Oh, it does get to the top 4 though, because Jose loses as well. That is a top 4, however, that feels bad from Devless, I think. Losing 6 rounds in a row, trying to roll down every single round, not hitting anything. It's a rough one on the mental for sure.
Especially, I feel like if they did hit, it probably would have resulted in a very similar result anyway.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
I mean, how much more would those 2 units have done if both of them hit? Then yeah, probably we probably would have made some changes, but our choice was taken away from us because of the roll. And so the Jirachi now, ooh, nice Zephyr roll on those Thief's Gloves, but hopefully I didn't see what got thrown into the Abomination. Hopefully that wasn't the Zephyr.
We'll see
But
soon.
the Teemo is going to absolutely rip through this comp, and it's over
Oh,
for
yeah.
Buzzy Boo. Yeah, Jirachi is by far the strongest person that we've seen so far. Is Yiggles going to be able to survive the Abomination comp as well with the Akshan? It could be a little bit easier for them, as the Daisy actually comes out a little late, and we're playing Ring Around the Rosie. This is one of the most frustrating things about going up against this character. It is not over, friends. Who's going to win this out? It's going to be the Ivern with just 1 HP. Woo, thrilling. Who says TFT isn't exciting to watch, my friends?
Oh my god, those fights are absolute clenchers, nail biters. That was something else. Like Sean, I thought it was actually going to outplay the whole rest of the field. Just narrowly lost to an Ivern auto attack. Hate to see it. But Yiggles does get to go. Level 9 at this point. Add just an extra Volibear 1, but I mean, that would have made the difference in the last fight. So maybe it can make the difference in this one. Because Jirachi, I don't think, has had any upgrades since then.
All right, it is going to be Ring Around the Rosie versus the Abomination. So, will this Akshan be able to MVP and even do better than the last round? Has already tagged a lot of people to put a debuff on them. Huge polymorph from that Lulu.
Yeah.
Now we've also got the Heimerdinger burn, but the positioning for the Akshan actually pretty good. We've gotten a little bit of space, but there are too many units on the other side. It might seem like this is enough, though, especially with the Ivern still alive. They've got to take care of it, but Daisy just a little too tanky right now. This is looking like an Akshan win, to be completely honest with you. That's what we said last time. It's gonna ring true this time around. We're going another round.
Oh my, that Ivern Thieves Gloves rolls give the Warmogs with the Renewer buff was just regenning too much at that point. The Ivern was really the pseudo MVP of that fight. Sure, Akshan was doing all that damage, but only because the space was provided for him to be able to do so. Now, the stage 6 carousel comes through. We get a Volibear 2 for Yiggles, and a Sunfire Cape at that, which isn't bad at all. We do get to actually start applying some heal debuffs. Oh, that's going to be a Targon, or Locket of Targon Prime with the Thieves' Gloves roll too, so going to position around that in this round.
We're actually going to be a little bit better on the defensive side. The difference between Jirachi and Yiggles in this situation was Jirachi was kind of maxed out already. We knew what to expect. And those Heimerdinger items aren't amazing, whereas Yiggles is continuously getting stronger. So this is going to be another opportunity for Jirachi to take this lobby. Was able to win 1 round earlier on, but this Teemo really neutering the attack speed. Arnold, though, is going to have a lot of really good items. That Jewel Gauntlet, actually a pretty huge deal. And as you said, Akshan is down, and that's where almost all of the damage lived on Yiggles' team. This should be a close to that lobby win. If there was round 7, we would have been here. 3 HP now. Man, this 1v1 end as thrillingly as it started. This has been a pretty crazy first lobby.
His has been. Jirachi just bullying this, just the whole rest of the lobby, and has the HP to be able to, take a loss or two and still win out. I mean, it's still winnable for Eagles. Can be very, very tough. The Thieves Gloves roll, or Rascal Glove, I guess, because the Radiant version of them is decent. Let's see if it's enough.
Here we go. Yiggles clinging to life. Will this, though, result in another NPC round and another chance for Yiggles to come back and take the win? Ooh, this Akshan in a pretty good spot, taking care of the carries, but actually moves a little bit too quickly. Is going to focus down the Abomination as well. And Akshan looking like it's going to have the momentum on his side. It's going to be the AD carry taking the dub once again. We're going around 7.
Stage 7, Boop. Let's go. Bloodthirster, which is kind of meh, unfortunately. Gargo's Stone Plate for Yiggles, which is actually a bit better, perhaps. Can put that on a frontliner, make them just a bit tankier. Gonna be solid. I mean, these fights really do come down to, I think, a couple of things. One being, both players have the Radiant Thieves gloves, the Rascals gloves, so it comes down to a lot of those, what they're gonna roll, and to how the Akshan is going to get punished if so. If Akshan gets into the backline and then is able to have another grapple and swing all the way around, usually at that point is when Akshan will win the round. But if not, if Akshan gets stuck back there and gets Lulu polyed or CC'd by something, then the round will very dominantly go over to the side of Jirachi.
So this is a choice. Do you pick up the Viego just to steal a unit? You might be losing some resistances, but you might be gaining an opportunity in the back line.
Yep.
We are going to go ahead and put them in. This is going to be another nail biter, friends. As Yiggles has staved off elimination for 3 rounds so far. Really nice shroud from Yiggles to Thieves Close roll is going to be Runins and ZZ Rot. Very interesting combination there. The Akshan is in the back line, has that space, going to swing around onto the other side. Double Bloodthirster Heimerdinger going to be saved by the shield this time around. The Teemo not able to take them down. This is a lot closer than I think they wanted, but it's going to be the same result. It's going to be Abomination versus Akshan, and Jirachi loses once again. This, my friends, will be the last round in 7-2 between these two players who I believe have had 5 1v1 rounds so far.
This is crazy. Morello's is going to be nice, but so is the Bramble. I'm gonna prioritize that a bit higher. The Brand Rascal Glove roll here actually is maybe going to be decent when the Radiant Void Mother does come out. We'll have a lot of tankiness, and Akshan might get stuck on that a bit too much. Speaking of HP, the Thieves Gloves and the Gwen rolls HP here too. This is big. I didn't really see Viego have much of an impact in the last fight. I have to pay a closer eye maybe on this one.
The positioning continues. Oh, all right. So we made a couple switches at the very last second. Putting the Teemo in the middle can be a little bit of a risk. They do both get Shroud in the back line. But the 2 Bloodthirsters should keep this Heimerdinger safe. That all eyes should be on this Akshan and where they land. And they keep landing in the same exact place. It's starting to get low, and the Heimerdinger actually survives a lot of this damage. We do get a Heimerdinger cast out of this. Akshan going to come right back around, and this one even worse for Jirachi, as that is going to be it. What a wonderful comeback from Yiggles. 3 HP win. Once that Volibear 2 kind of came in, once we got those upgrades, and I think, we mentioned Jirachi can't really get stronger, right?
Yeah.
But Yiggles can, and that I think really showed up here. And just what a wonderful game between those two players. Even though Jirachi lost, that was exhilarating stuff.
That was one of the best 1v1s that I've seen in TFT, actually, because so many factors came into play there, whether it be the Radiant Thieves Gloves, item rolls, or the Yiggles saying, okay, I can go down to 3 HP, lose one more round, and then push to 9, and then get that little bit of oomph and that power to then win out literally every single subsequent round after that. Jirachi had great plays as well, like trying to put in the Viego, trying to get even stronger. It just unfortunately wasn't enough. There wasn't anything to lock down the Akshan, which was ultimately Jirachi's demise. What a way to start things off, though, Boop. Let's take a look at the scores and remind ourselves, because that 1v1 happened for a while. As we know, Eagles is 1, Jirachi is 2. Where'd everyone else fall? It was Buzzy in 3rd, Devils in 4th, and Jose, Bird, Chung Money, and Zero Gravity Barrett down the line. But yeah, that was fantastic game number 1.
So this is the only thing that that happens that concerns me about games like that is you put so much brain power into that first game, right? What are you gonna do after? Right? There is going to be some recovery time that's going to be necessary, but how quick do you need? How much can you get back onto that horse? Yiggles, 3 HP, man, and that positioning every single round. There were so many micro decisions getting made that, were happening so quickly, we can't even talk about all of them. So
Yeah.
both of those players should be incredibly proud of how they played that lobby. And, Jirachi and Buzzy, they know each other really well. They're going to be fighting for this lobby too at the end of the day if these results continue like they are.
Yeah, they're very, very neck and neck, we'll say, in scores. Devilish, our winner of last week, had still a decent game to get into the top 4, but probably a bit of a disappointment. It looked like they definitely, were a bit disappointed by their, 6 rounds loss in a row. Yiggles, though, definitely feeling good after that one. And it's not over for anybody, of course. There's still 3 more games left. Sometimes you do have players that, get an 8th or a 7th and still come back to win out the night. So nobody should be feeling too down on themselves at this point.
Oh, no, not at all. And if anything, they should be pretty excited about the kind of electricity that entered that 1v1. I mean, they had almost all of stage 6 to themselves.
Yeah.
I think they did,
7.
actually. Yeah, and all the way to 7-2. And to think about how far ahead Jirachi was HP-wise, I believe it was like 50-something to 3 at one point. And then, round by round, to have to consistently make the right decision over 6 rounds like Yiggles had to do.
It's stressful.
We had, super stressful. And we had one round where we did mess up and we got down to 3 HP, but after that, we got our upgrades, we got items, and we got into the head of Jirachi, I think, a little bit when it came to that positioning.
And you also got a taste of what some of the, S tier, what's going to be winning boards and what's not going to be winning if it's contested. And that was, of course, the Hellion gamers that held hands there. It looked like into the not quite 7th, 8th, but still bottom 4. I believe it was Jose who almost climbed back into the top 4, but not quite. The Tristana 3 was very solid, but just took too much damage in the early game. But it's those late game Heimerdinger Teemo boards and Akshan as well, which, you got to be always considering. If you're able to hit an early Akshan level 7 or even an Akshan 2 on 8, like, that can be a game-winning kind of thing if there's not anything to lock him down with. And, again, that was the case that game in the 1v1 with Yiggles and Jirachi. But let's go ahead and get on into game number 2, Boop. And let's see what these items are going to be grabbed. It's a couple of bows. A lot of offensive items, though. No defensive items in this carousel.
I feel like with that last game, we just released a spirit bomb, and then now we're on this one. It's like, okay, we're gonna have to do it all over again, right? Let's see what these players are gonna produce after such a fantastic opening round. And again, these items are just gonna give our players possible directions. That's all they're looking at, is the choices that are gonna be available to them after this round. But remember too, that game started with Devilish high rolling 4 or 5 skirmishers by round 2-2.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting 4th, right? So again, we can expect Jirachi to open up really strong. If they leveled up to level 6 at 2-2, right?
They leveled to 5 at 2-2. Yeah, 6 at 2-2. Oh, wait a minute.
So already aggressively leveling, playing exactly like we would expect, but this time locking up that top 4. That's a lot of improvement in terms of growth.
Definitely.
For Jirachi's play that you mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah, 100%. And they played it super well because they're able to, I think sometimes just not let all of the gold that they're maintaining kind of slip away from them, use it at very effective intervals and stabilize at correct timings. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, but the biggest thing is going to be to accurately assess the power level of the rest of the lobby at that point. And it was kind of beneficial for Jirachi because of all the pressure that Yiggles and Jirachi were putting on the rest of the lobby, meant that they were forced to be making kind of inopportune decisions and not be as strong as they would scaling up into that point in the game. So that did let Jirachi scale up a bit freer, I suppose, at that point. So we got to think about that factor as well moving into these games. However, for now, Yiggle's going to be landing on a few skirmishers and sentinels.
So how have these Chalice of Power Locket Slams been in kind of the environment on higher levels? We saw them hovering, but I remember back in the day, like if you couldn't slam anything, just slam a Chalice, right?
Yeah.
But what's kind of the idea right now when it comes to slamming items?
Well, a lot of offensive items or specific defensive items, but not really any aura items. I think the only aura item that we're going to see slammed in the very early game is usually Zeke's. I'm actually surprised that Eagles is going for this Chalice Slam, but there is another tier. It's just that generally the AP comps do want multiple tiers, like one for Shojins, then Archangels specifically. So I guess I'll say wasting a tier for one of them feels a little bad. I guess we get offered so many more, and it's just going to be, of course, be the Rod, because Eagles doesn't want to have only tiers. I don't mind this, but it's not going to have as much power as you're referring to with, like they used to on previous sets.
I don't know if you noticed, but Devless has the exact same opening as last time. Udyr 2, they had a couple Olafs and a Nidalee on the bench. So Devless should be pretty okay in the early game. We do level up to 4 here with Bird. And it seems that that we have a lot of attack speed right now. We have a lot of really good items for round like 3-2, right? So how are we going to use them right now? It's going to be the Last Whisper on the Tristana.
Yep.
And we're going to add a little bit of damage with the sword. Don't get carried away. Sometimes you can go on autopilot and accidentally put those items on the Tristana, and you're going to have to get an extra one later.
Yeah, the Tristana is going to be pretty nice right now. There is the pair of them. And we have 3 Sentinel, 2 Cannoneer. A solid start. Unfortunately, no Hellions. Like usually Tristana would, definitely benefit from the Hellion attack speed and being able to res, winning some rounds. Looks like it's going to be enough for now regardless. Or in a solid spot. Buzzebu likes to not level up, it seems like, early, and really play for this reroll style very, very heavily. Did it last game, I believe. They were the player running the Vayne Forgotten reroll, and now they're looking to do a similar thing with the Hellions.
When we casted them a week ago, the first couple games, they were very similar, hanging out the bottom side of the leaderboard until they're able to hit. And then it's just kind of like, all right, let's go. It's like turning on a lawnmower. Eventually that will crank up and you're gonna go for it. And that's exactly what Buzzy likes to do. As we have a lot of options again here for Bird, but not any specific direction that's gonna take us anywhere exciting so far. This is a very common opening, but we do have a nice sentinel in the middle there, which is that Rakan, which should help us get at least a unit or two. Let's see if that's going to be the case, though. Especially with Tristana, we should be able to take down at least a couple of these, and maybe even compete for a round.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
The Senate cannot get another cast off, but the Trist will be able to take out Lee Sin, jump to their side of the board, and not quite have enough damage. Take out the Lee Sin. Most exciting decision that Bird has is to either make 10 gold or pre-level, and it's going to be to make 10. There were 2 Nikos on the other side of the field there, and I haven't seen 2 Nikos come out from the initial PvE rounds in a very long time. Usually it's 1 Nikos, but that could have been a Yasuo 2 already. And I believe we saw something similar last week with, I forget the scenario, but I think it was a Nocturne 2 being Niko'd at like round 2-1 or 2-2.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a good idea, right? But yeah, Zero Gravity Bear is going to be who we're riding along with right now, is going to continue on this Hellion go-around. Also seems like they shop at Dan Flashes. Anyone know that reference is My Best Friend?
I unfortunately do not. Unlucky.
The patterns are just so complicated. But anyway, it's Sorry for Leaving, or Thank You for Leaving on Netflix. I highly recommend. There's like this whole bit about how guys wear patterned shirts now. And
okay,
you got to watch it to believe it, but you'll see it, you'll be like, oh, this is literally everyone I know. So yes, but Zero Gravity Bear right now looking, it's the mini battle right now, the Baby Brigade. It's going to be the Hellions versus the Hellions, and Buzzies are going to be doing a little bit more work.
Yeah, Buzzy has a very important Hellion, and that's going to be Tristana, which Zero Gravity Bear does not have at this point. and still does not have. In fact, it's going to be a Ziggs cosplaying. Ziggs might be a bot laner now in Summoner's Rift, but it's still not with AD items. So, Ziggs, you're not really fitting in at this point on the team. So, Gravity Bear did have a very unfortunate game in the last one. Hopefully, that won't dissuade them too much and tilt them too much moving forward.
It was rough.
Very much
That
so.
actually might be an understatement since we were eliminated at round 4-2.
Yeah.
But we have just tier 1 units. Again, this is moderately similar, but remember the last time we were here, we were at 62 HP. So things already looking better. So the overall lobby is a little bit weaker. Like Devless again on fire, which should to be expected because it was the same start as last time.
Yep.
That's how it started this time around as Devless hits 5 wins. But yeah, Zero Gravity is going to just have to raise Buzzy for these Yordles right now because both of them are going to suffer until someone eventually takes down their counterpart, just like a shark in the womb.
I'm curious if this trend keeps on continuing of players contesting the Hellions, because if they keep on doing that, 2 or 3 players keep on going for this, it's really not going to be good for either of them usually. Maybe one of them can high roll and get away with it, but I think we're likely to see players kind of gravitate away from this style of play, seeing as how so many people in this lobby do like going for it, it seems like.
Yeah, it's definitely contested, and whenever there is a contested comp like this, really interesting plays can start happening, especially if someone else has to use like a cannon to fill in their skirmishers, right? You're not necessarily only contesting each other. It makes each specific unit more valuable throughout the entire lobby. And now that we finally have a Ziggs 2 at round 3-1, we're starting to find a little bit of momentum. But remember, Jose Paulo ran this comp and did not hit level 7 until round like 5-4, right?
Yep.
And so we just want to up that pace a little bit, and that's what these players are going to want to do, but they have to hit those units first. And even though there's a lot of units, there's a lot of Yordles, you're still sharing them with someone.
Jirachi still doing what they do best, which is having an early game lead. Not quite at the top of the lobby, though. That's still going to be claimed by Devless, but 96 is not bad. 30 gold has slammed every single item possible onto this Olaf, which is doing a fantastic job at carrying in the early game, and is going to be, way too much of a threat when it comes to going into a Ziggs. So now at 64, so Gravity still is in a better spot than last game, as we were mentioning, but not in a great one, however. Now as you're rolling to try to find at least one Tristana.
We actually had less HP at this point on Krugs than we do right now. So again, things are going better. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully, because this Hellion Cannoneer comp is what I would say is the definition of flavor of the week, right? It has definitely taken on strong. And it's so funny because this is the first comp that a lot of people played on this set. And then everyone kind of started experimenting with other things, and now it's back. Home sweet home, and we're gonna keep these items on Ziggs, which is such a feels bad because it's like we're gonna sell that Ziggs, and it's one of the units that we tier 2'd, and so it's gonna help us win these at least fights. And Ziggs can use these items. There's a lot of auto attacks, and the base damage on the ult is still pretty good, but that is not best of slot or anywhere close to it by any means.
No, I mean, 2.5k damage, sure, but still losing rounds to Devless, who has not really, used any gold to improve their board. It's just been natural rolls. And Zero Gravity has rolled a bit and is still losing. That is a little bit yikes. Moving on over to Jose, they do have a Lucian, still the double Nikos, and some Sentinels online. The Runeans is not great for Lucian, otherwise maybe Jose would have considered double Nicoing the Lucian. But we're just still greeting onto them. There's no reason to use them super aggressively at this point.
This is not the mathematically correct Lucian, by the way.
No.
Jeweled Gauntlet is required for that. And so we've got the Lucian that will be pumping in a lot of damage. Gonna go ahead and, whisper some sweet nothings into Olaf's ears before falling for some reason. And we're going to lose that round. And the interesting thing that Jose Paulo has to kind of recognize is, do we rush to 7, right? We have 2 Nikos. Do we rush to 7 and try to find a Garen or a Viego and just double Nikos that?
Yeah, maybe not a V. I mean, the items, right? I think best case scenario for Jose would be to go 7 and hit an Akshan, because the Runans and the Hodge can both have amazing value there, and we don't really have any other item. Like, we don't have actually 0 frontline items at this point. Jose wanting to pick those up soon. I don't actually see what he grabbed. Grabbed a Rill with, what is it going to be? It is a belt, so we do have a little bit of frontline starting to appear. Does go in over the Senna. Lucian doesn't really need the Cannoneer buff. It's nice, but you can still carry without it. Gonna opt to do it anyway, though, because leveling up to 7.
Yeah, the percentages just aren't as advantageous. Yeah, you're going to get a little bit more damage, but compared to some other units like Tristana, because that ult is so fast, the addition is not negligible, but it's not also a waterfall of damage.
Yeah.
As Buzzy now does have the Tristana 2 in the back line, already doing a little bit better than Zero Gravity, who actually won that last round, and the Lucian should be able to take care of these Yordles. No problem. Lucian likes eating Yordles for lunch. So there we go. Buzzy Boo going to fall. Lucian definitely one of the best units to take care of the Yordles, which is good because the Yordles are also in that comp sometimes. So that's, again, one of those situations where units like Lucian all of a sudden become way more valuable because they're a part of multiple good comps.
Yes, they are. Round 3-6 coming through. Radiant items. Could be a frontline item with Radiant Redemption, perhaps, but I mean, there's the temptation for these aura items at this point. The Radiant aura items are solid. It's going to be, however, the Infinity Edge coming through for the Lucian. Gonna want to find its way, it looks like, onto some Rangers later. Lucian's still solid, as you're mentioning, especially when it comes to defeating the Hellions. Buzzboo is on the stimmy. Other players skying them, he's just not picking it up. Now
I
does
said
it.
this last week. I was like, I wait until the very last second.
Just to spite everyone else. Like, if you're the first person there, you just spite everyone else and just don't pick it up.
Exactly.
They waste their time.
Yeah, I'm already last, right? So
why
not just like take a round for some enjoyment, right? It's like going to the movies. I'll spend, $15 on some popcorn if it's going to make my experience better. It normally doesn't, and I normally wouldn't, but I might be in the mood sometimes. But yeah, we've got the Zyra going to be locking up and have a nice crit into that back line. It's going to be up to the Sentinels versus the Abomination. But with this Lorn Mail, it's going to be not that bad, actually, as it's going to be the Callista ult, not even taking down that Olaf. Nice Sentinel buff.
Yeah, Sentinel buff. Olaf having inherent lifesteal plus the Rakan healing was just too much for the A-bombs to deal with. Chung Money also has a Nico's help riding on the bench, and Nunu too as well. So this could be this is looking like a board that really wants to just go like level 8 quickly and roll into the Heimerdinger and things like that. But there's no 5 Draconic to really accelerate this money growth, and it's not like we've even stabilized HP that well either, because being on 41 is still a little bit lackluster. Can maybe consider going level 8 like next round, but then you wouldn't have that much gold to roll with. Oh wow, actually going level 8 right now. Wow, that's crazy. Wanting to run 5 Draconic as early as possible.
Oh man, Khroen, I love that. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and put the Titans on Callista. Thorn Mail will get there as well. And the item that I absolutely love people starting to tech in are Trap Claws just in general. It is CC immunity, and it helps keep things like Vel'Koz, if you or Kale, who's in the game, in the corner. Yeah, I know, right? Who in the corner a little bit safer, as it's going to survive the initial round of CC. For example, if the Trap Claw was in the back line, that Callista might not have gotten stunned. But Ryu's still alive. Arnold comes out, going to have to walk to the back line. This fight is pretty spread out, which can be expected for Hellions. But nice crits from that Zyra, even at tier 1. Keeping this alive, and the Abomination should be taking this no problem.
So Gravity Bear take another loss, holding hands down there at the bottom of Buzzy Boo. It's just these Hellion players, man. Zero Gravity Bear was on Tristana 1. Buzzy Boo at least had 6 Tristanas, now is on 7, needs to find 1 more. And oh, wait, what were Buzzy Boo's rating item choices if the Locket of Targon Prime is what they landed on. There's no way that those items were like, what would they've been? I'm so
Maybe it's,
curious.
maybe it's just innovation right in front of us. Let's see if it's gonna work, because
Yeah.
I mean, the idea behind it is that it's tier 3, right? You do get that extra 200 based off of the base shielding, and you're gonna have tier 3 units more likely in this comp. So if hindsight is trying to explain what's going on, that's where I think, without any further context, where my head would go, as this front line is going to be nice and everyone's going to be nice and safe with that trap plop, that radiant trap plop. And we do have a front line now with that Kled 3 with the redemption.
All right, Tristana being tier 3, of course, going to be very powerful at this point. Does take out Chung Money's level 8 board. And I very quickly went to look at the VOD because I was way too curious of Buzzy Boo. And the options were going to be the blue buff, the death cap, a Archangel's Sunfire, and Locket of Targon Prime for the Radiant options. So actually 0 attack damage items, only 2 tank items, means that the Locket was the choice over the Sunfire. And I guess that makes sense. Sunfire still might have been okay, but I don't really blame Buzzy Boo for that one. Just unfortunate rolls there.
Some people put that Sunfire on Kennen in this comp. We actually had a second place finisher run that comp last week.
Yeah, I guess it's because the Kennen from Buzzy already has the Morellos. It's like, it's
True.
just, he's going to be already having the similar value. So like really the only choice was the Locket there.
Yeah, you don't want Kennen to fall into Pyromania at the end of the day with all that burn, right? You want to keep him out of the burn unit at all times. And so Kennen now just tier 1, but locking in on one ultimate should be very, very nice, especially to just tag that debuff on the rest of these units. And we are going to get a little bit of extra damage, and it's going to slowly butter them up for the Tristana to pull them down.
Jirachi taking around loss. Still on a decent amount of HP. This is around the point where Jirachi kind of restabilized in the previous game. So I'd assume they might level up to 8 next round, roll it down a little bit. If we're going for a similar path, to get a better look at what they're working with here. It's going to be a lot of attack damage items, running a couple skirms right now, looking like the Aphelios pivot potential, because one Aphelios on the bench, and also at Nightbringer with the Sejuani. A lot of attack damage items, though, and not really many frontline items. Actually, just one Sunfire being the only frontline item.
Yeah, this is what I call like a Mirage frontline. It looks good. Like visually, this looks like a great idea, right? But it's still pretty paper thin. On round 2-3, that's a beautiful frontline, but at least we've got the Knights in the front line, and the Knights Jax is something that could happen. But no, we're going to go exactly the direction you said. The Sejuani should have been the clue there, as we're going to move a lot of these items over. Jirachi, definitely one of the fastest when it comes to rolling and repositioning. I know they have practiced that in the past as we add another Knight in. So we went from a paper thin front line to a paper thin front line right now, right? This is one that could advance into a much better front line, but a lot of tier 3 units for Zero Gravity Bear finally coming through. But I think that Tristana was just tier 1, and this is just a feels bad so far. But wow, that Thornmail actually kept their Gravity Bear alive for a while, and while I thought this was going to be a complete wipe, it looks like the Hellions are going to be able to bring this back. Jirachi losing to the Yordles.
Jirachi, yeah, there was so many actions that Jirachi just did in that round when it comes to selling units on the board, replacing items, finding a whole new board, and reforging the extra Rage Blade, putting it on or making it a Shiv, putting it on the Senna. However, I do think that could have been optimized a little bit better. I think that Jirachi could have, instead of selling the Jax, have taken out the Senna, because she wasn't really doing much, and the extra attack damage, extra DPS items could have been on a Jax as well, because it would have given Ironclad, which maybe wasn't the most impactful in that last fight, still a little bit impactful. It's just that Senna didn't really do much. Now we're stuck with a double Ash board right now, which is a little bit awkward.
Ooh, double jewel gauntlet on that Zyra. That Zyra might push a lot of damage along with some CC, some mega tanky units for the Abomination. We're going to hit 25 stacks easy. And that ultimate from Aphelios, not enough to actually take anyone down. And this is what happens during an Aphelios pivot that I see a lot of the time, is they do the Aphelios pivot and never win around again. And so, even though it's tier two, it's so position oriented, and if there's any access to the back line, Aphelios can be pretty vulnerable, as it's going to be the Radiant Redemption along with a Skirmisher Riven here
Oh.
for Devless, and this looked like it's the Sirach and roll comp that you were talking about that fell a little out of favor.
Yeah, but Devless is bringing it back. No Shojins, actually. I'm surprised that this board on level 6 on Raptors is 75 HP, to be completely honest, because the Aurelia doesn't really have many items at all. It's a mana Soraka. I mean, there's 1-2 with the Archangels, but no, like, mana generation, like Shojin or Blue Buff. But still, I mean, we're 3 Nidalees away from Nidalee 3, 2 Aurelias away, now 1 Pike away. These rolls have been pretty kind. I guess landing on early Soraka 3 just helped this board stabilize that much better.
And only level 6. Not
Yeah.
even thinking about level 7 right now. Why at this point? Because we're absolutely crushing it on these rolls, and even though we're going to have 2 less units with the Mana Reave, it's going to feel like potentially Jirachi has no units, as this is going to be a little bit more friendly to Jirachi's team comp. The damage doesn't come fast, very, very fast.
Oh, yeah.
And that's going to allow the Aphelios to ramp up. So that, again, is kind of like the Aphelios comp equation, right? Is how much time is Aphelios going to have to ramp up? Are we even going to get there to like the second or third ult?
Yeah, especially because the Rage Blade is there. If Philios can continue ramping up, it's just going to be that much stronger as the fight continues to rage on. Devless as well, not hitting any other upgrade. I mean, hit the Pike, I guess, but still not really an impactful upgrade. Also, Ukshan was found from Jirachi. That was fantastic to have the armor shred.
Pretty good unit.
Pretty good unit, as we saw last game.
Akshan Esports, definitely a pretty great unit. Deathblade,
here we
Hodge, IE now. And we have the 2 Nikos, I believe, from the beginning of the game.
Yep.
still here, and we're potentially only going to need 1. If we roll into an Akshan, we only need 1 of those Nikos. We can maybe put the other one onto a Fiddle, but yep.
Okay.
Here it is.
Yeah. I can't blame that. 26 HP. Double Nicoing Akshan's, I think, always the call here. Maybe could have sold some more of the bench to roll down for upgrades, but not a bad play. By any means. The Lucian and Akshan are going to do so much damage.
They love hanging out together, right? They're like the Avengers of this particular set.
Sentinels.
Yeah, and this is why I think they're so good. As you see their setup right now, they could both be focusing the same unit and delete tier 3 tanks like Hecarim because of that. Especially the fact that Akshan gets a debuff with that ultimate as well. And we're gonna tier 2 this Fiddle. So this is a pretty rockin' board so far, especially with that Force of Nature.
Yeah, and it's about the time to drop these 6 Sentinels, it looks like, in favor of more utility-based synergies. Like Ironclad needs the gold to buy the extra rel pair as well. I like this decision from Jose. There are still a lot of attack damage based compositions that Ironclad will have a lot of value into. A couple of them might be eliminated soon, because Buzzyboo and Zero Gravity Bear are still down 7th and 8th at the bottom with their Tristana boards, but maybe they'll hang on for a bit longer.
All right, Jirachi has an Akshan of their own, but not as strong on the other side. But actually, Aphelios can be a pretty nice counter to the Akshan if the ult comes out. It's all about that ult, right? Just like Ari back in the day, it's all about that ult because it will get you more health too, but it is not going to be the case. Akshan going to live with full HP through this round. But this is a close lobby too. We've got Bird as the word at the top, Devless, and then everyone else as Buzzyboo lands in 8th place.
And Buzzyboo is so ahead of Zero Gravity Bear as well, at least in the Tristana game, but Buzzy's actually the player who goes 8th. Hate to see it. Chung Money and Zero Gravity Bear now in single digits as we reach the stage 5 carousel.
Stage 5 carousel, one of the most impactful carousels in the game, especially if you're able to just get that last carry item, get that last tank item to help you just get to round 6, as we might have about 4 or 5 people get there this time. Remember, it was just 2 the last time we were here, and we're not going to have the same 1v1 experience, most likely, especially since Jose Paulo's board right now is actually pretty nuts. As we sell the
Ooh.
Garen for that Heimer too, now all of a sudden we've got Yiggles, who might be making another comeback with those Heimerdinger items. That's going to be a good amount of ultimates.
Heimer 2 is a lobby winning kind of board, especially when you have this perfect items and 4 Invoker to support it, as well as the Revenant frontline. The equation here is just perfect. Everything is where it wants to be. But these other boards, I mean, they still have strong opponents to them as well. But if Heimer can survive for multiple casts, might be a round win.
Ooh, a lot of debuff going on with the static Shiv, and it is going to be at least one cast with the Heimerdinger that the Akshan is going to MVP right out of. That is absolutely frustrating if you're Yiggles, but we're used to this, right? We came back from 3 HP. It is not the end of the world, and the way that today's been going, it's still anyone's game.
Definitely. Boop, I was saying it should be a round win if Heimer gets multiple casts off, but not if Akshan literally just goes off board for both of them and dodges all the damage. That maybe is a bit of a counter.
Remember,
which is why we saw the fight go, the other that way the previous game.
I do not think that's going to last forever. Maybe if I'm going to eliminate one or two things, it might be the debuff or it might be the invulnerability, because it didn't work on Talon. Right, and so, and it kind of reminds me of it. Same thing with Tristana in terms of how they play out. It definitely reminds me of last set Talon.
Yeah.
And the success of it is very similar, right? Some lobbies it can absolutely destroy, like Heimerdinger almost did just now. And with the Shojins, we should be able to get another ult, no problem. But is it going to race this Lucian? Yes, it will. Ivern, man, a tank and CC, one of the few AoE CCs in the game. A pretty good stuff, and this should be a loss for our Yordle player. Yordles might be flavor of the month, but not here in Fight Night, because has not gotten anything over than 6th.
And this is why I was saying, Boop, we might see players start to not prioritize that very heavily moving forward, because it has resulted in the past 2 games, 2 players both going bottom 4 each time. So 4 times, it's not working out. You got to start seeing that that's a trend at this point, right? Like, you can't just keep forcing it.
What is it? It happens one time, it might be a fluke. If it happens two, it's a trend, right?
Yep,
so
basically,
that's exactly what's happening, and we're gonna get a little bit of gold and a Deathblade. Deathblade can scale in that late game on the correct units, as we do take up a KO. Who is that?
Oh wow,
new unit. Green thing.
New unit on the board, on the bench
here. Was there a hotfix patch? Dude, I have been trying to use Kale every day for the last week, and it has not resulted in a lot of success. Because I part of me is just like, why? Right? Like, why is it like that?
Yeah, me too. I'm asking myself why to you trying to make Kale work that hard.
But it looks like Legionnaires should be getting reworked here soon, so we might be seeing Kale back in no time. This is a all right stun from the Pike. Unfortunately, we hit right into the Heimerdinger, but we're not a unit that's going to be able to take them down. Tons of damage now from this Heimer. But it is Nidalee 3. Nidalee 3 might be able to win out, and it's not. The Heimerdinger is going to be enough.
Yeah, this is the power of the Heimer, when it doesn't have to deal with all those pesky Akshans just flying all around behind the damage. Evelys takes the loss, does get the Radiant Blessing, however. Stimmy is online, and it's going to make a Shroud with those components. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, one of the best late game items, and always will be if it's going to continue doing what it does.
Wait, we gotta... Okay, I was going to say, gonna make the Shroud in the unit, and then, just have it on bench ready, but... Okay, Evelys is gonna have to have very fast APM going to this round. I mean, I'm sure they will. I say that as...
Uh-oh.
All right, we got it. I had faith the whole time. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we have definitely seen people mess that up. The Skirmisher Riven is going to potentially get stolen. No, get CC'd. So Rock and Roll is doing work right now. That Morello's, along with that Archangel Staff. That Archangel Staff is going to make this Soraka scale infinitely, and we take another win. And that's the thing about Rock and Roll. There's just some cons that it just bullies that really there's no chance to win against the Rock and Roll. And it looks like it's a pretty friendly environment for that. At least we hit top 4 with it.
Yeah, this Nidalee is also fantastic. Being able to get the Nidalee online as well, like this hard, is so insane. Even if Soraka goes down, Nidalee can kind of just like 1v9 the board at some points. You see Bird hitting an Ukshan too. Jirachi actually falls in 5th after that game, so kind of similarly, plagued circumstances as to what they were running into, when we first started seeing them on Fight Night, not being able to fully scale.
Jose Paulo, that Ukshan 2 already. Remember, we used 2 Nikos for that in round 5. So we're spinning around, and it's going to be up to the Soraka to keep this Ukshan from ulting over and over again. And actually, it's going okay. That
Yeah.
Mana Reave on the Ukshan is...
It's enough. It's perfect.
It is enough. Is this the counter, friends? Well, it is more so Nidalee providing time for the Soraka in the back line. But man, that combo where Soraka ulted and Nidalee jumped at the same time, that was satisfying. That was like ASMR for my eyes, man.
That was fantastic. A lot of emblems coming through at this point. There's Dawnbringer, which maybe could be utilized. And yeah, Devils is going to pick up Dawnbringer. Trying to see. I mean, he could drop the Karma. I guess a no item Karma is going to do much. And we can put in what, like Invoker? Or no, sorry, Karma is the Invoker. We could put in like Assassin, but Oh, we hit Irelia. That's big.
Okay, Dawnbringer Irelia is also nice. It's one of those nice to haves, especially at tier 3. You're going to get a good amount of value out of it. It's going to be a brawler rel. That's only just a little bit of extra HP.
Zephyr.
Tier 1 Volibear in the front line. Let's see if we're going to be able to get that ultimate off. It looks like that is going to be the case. Rel actually falls really quickly. Oh, and I believe Lucian was almost stolen, as it's going to be Lucian versus Lucian, crossing the beams, but Lucian for Greenside is positioned poorly, but there's an Ukshan as well with a ton of extra AD. What a close lobby. 9 HP. Is Yiggles going to do it again? Is Yiggles going to have a second lobby win with single-digit HP?
I mean, even if Yiggles doesn't do it, it's still such an impressive run from stabilizing on such low HP time and time again, having such insane power spikes when it comes to these boards. Jose is actually fortunate to win that round as well, because the Zephyr was kind of bad, actually. I mean, unfortunately, when rounds begin, not all the units load in at the same time, so only the frontline loaded in, and Jose kind of like panicked, popped the Zephyr, and it only landed on a Varus 1 instead of either the Lucian or the Ukshan on the other board. It was still fortunately okay, but still. Gets a good Zephyr this round.
Yeah, really nice swap. Called the swap on that one for the Heimerdinger. And it might actually be enough. One ult is usually not enough for the Heimerdinger, but we're going to get to a second one. It is not over, and they weren't able to get the cast off, and Yiggles' dream is dead, turning into a nightmare. Say hi to Freddy for me as Devless. 22-14. This is going... There's one round remaining for Jose Paulo, 2 for Devless.
Potentially, unless it's to like several units lost, that it could be one round for both. We'll have to see. Redemption coming through for Jose is okay for frontline. Could even do it on the backline as well, but it might not have value because Lucian and Ukshan like to, get on out of their spots they start in. Won't be benefiting from that AoE damage reduction and healing. There's not really much for Jose to do with the rest of this gold, is there? No. Besides finding a random Volibear 2.
Random Volibear 2 is still a pretty nice find.
Yeah, it's probably not going to find it.
Yeah. That is unfortunate. But, positioning can be the difference. Anytime you do have an Ukshan, you can compete for that win and that lobby bragging rights. But the Rock and Roll comp seems to be pretty good against it. Mana Reave on Ukshan specifically seems to be very, very powerful, as we're going to be able to Zephyr the Lucian in the back line. And it's going to get the Karma, which is actually a pretty good thing for Devless right now. First ultimate for Soraka. Hits the front line. The second one only hits a couple units, and not the Ukshan, who is going to be in a moderately safe position right now. But this Irelia 3 keeping everything alive, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. This is going to be a lot of units lost. Was that enough? Yes. Yep. -5 HP. Devless second place. Jose Paulo coming back with the win.
Yeah, that was an intense game. There was a lot of very strong cap boards there, even down to, third with Yiggles having the Heimerdinger. Unfortunate matchup going into the Ukshan. We know how that one goes, but the Lucian Ukshan being able to claim that. Sentinels, very, very strong, especially when you're able to fully itemize both at tier 2. Like, that's just way too good. Great Zephyrs as well, both sides, I think, but it was, in fact, going to be Lucian Ukshan taking that one. What a fantastic game so far. I'm curious to see where the scores end up after that one, because Jose, oh, we actually have them ready. Yiggles, of course, going to be at the top with 17 points after the first and the third. But both Devlis and Jose having significantly better performances there, now tied on 14 points. Jirachi on 12 after that last game. Bird, 9. Buzzy Boo at 8. Chung Money and Zero Gravity Bear on 4 apiece. But at the top there, it's very, very close, Boo.
Yeah, and everyone's still in the running, still, right?
Sure.
Zero Gravity Bear can knock out 2 wins, right? Maybe we are uncontested on a comp, and we actually get to play the game.
Yeah,
That
maybe
would
we're
be
uncontested
awesome,
Hellions finally instead
right?
of being
And
contested.
exactly. And so anything can happen, but if it's anything similar to what we've seen in these first 2 lobbies, it's going to be intriguing.
Definitely so. Well, we are 2 games in the books, Boop, and 2 more left to go. But first, we gotta go to just a quick break. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon with more Fight Night Rising. And welcome back to Fight Night Rising, brought to you by Wisdom. Still Khroen here, joined by Booposaurus. Boop, we are 2 games down, and they've been some of the most, I think, exciting games that we've had in a while. The fantastic 1v1 between Jirachi and Yiggles start things off, and then, I guess we had 3 really strong compositions in that last game. What have you enjoyed so far? Anything kind of stand out to you?
You know, this is such a cop-out answer, but I'm really honest about this.
Sure.
Everything has been kind of awesome today. We've seen everything from complete bottoming out, holding hands, with the comp,
True.
like to the other poll, which is a 7-round 1v1 or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
And so, man, if we've already gotten all of that in 2 games, I'm just it's gonna be crazy what's gonna happen in that fourth lobby, because shenanigans always happen in that fourth lobby too. So
Yeah.
it is just, everything's been pretty awesome today.
That's true. We've had a lot of different scenarios happen, like a full split between the top 4 and then the bottom 4 in terms of HP. We had that massive 1v1. Only things that are left are like having everyone still alive at 20 HP to 10 HP or something like that, where everyone's
Yeah.
just trying to scramble for that top 4. I think if we can check that box, and we'll have actually everything in
Yeah, the
tonight's fight night.
trifecta.
Yeah.
Yeah, the triple crown of fight night might be had here. So everyone at home, like, this is an absolutely amazing night of games so far, and whoever wins out of today, you got to give yourself some credit, because this is a pretty even keeled group of players, right? I think
Oh yeah.
the players here seem to all be pretty even in what their results could be, right? And so the consistency is going to be in the inconsistency for most of these players. So if you're able to just top 4 every lobby in a lobby like this, you probably come back next week.
Yeah.
So again, it's up to you. Are you going to play 1st or 8th? If you're on the bottom of the leaderboard, you have to.
Yeah.
Right? Don't feel bad about maybe getting another 1 because you went for it. So you're still in the running, right? Get that 10 points and make it interesting for this 4th lobby.
Yeah, gotta play to your win conditions. That's what these players, being TFT competitors, are all going to know how to do. And just speaking on a more, specifics on some of these TFT competitors, I wanted to give some shout outs to, to Yiggles so far, because Yiggles, I think, has had some general TFT competitive scene success. Not really winning any tournaments though, but usually being towards the top and being invited to these, top 16, top 32 kind of things. So it's nice to see Yiggles come out here in a lobby that is still surrounded by so many good players and having a very dominant run of it, at least thus far. Hopefully, Yiggles is able to continue on that as we do now get on into game number 3, Boop, and yet another fully offensive item carousel.
Gotta love those offensive items, right? I think a lot of people would prefer to get as much damage on their board as possible. Damage always feels like a little bit more fun, but sometimes it's totally okay to go for those, quote unquote, stereotypically more boring take items to start.
Yeah. Oh no, I see Zero Gravity Bear in chat say me Hellions. They're not pivoting. No pivot, no scout. Me Hellion 20 out of 20. Is it gonna work out this time for Zero Gravity Bear? I'm worried.
I'm a little worried too. Maybe 3rd time's a charm. Because the thing is, right? TFT players are known to all make the same decision independently of each other at the same time, right? So maybe everyone else is like, screw Hellions, right? And we've got one person knocking on the door being like, I'm still here. Come to the Hellion party, right? Like, the drinks are flowing.
Yeah.
And so that could be happening. Jose, though, starting off with a pretty common night opening. The Nautilus early on is nice to have some AoE stun. And this is just, again, going to be an opportunity to find choices.
Also, I think a Hellion opportunity here with Tristana and Ziggs in the shop. Not looking like Jose is going to go for it per se, but something that is appealing is the fact that Jose did get dropped in the first PvE round, a Misfortune and the Nautilus, and now has a tier, and these are perfect Misfortune items. This comp is still viable with their reroll strategy. You just kind of need to approach it from a win streak, or at least not a full open fort loss streak like you were able to get away with before the comp was nerfed. So I think Jose is definitely going to be very, very seriously considering this this option, and can do it with selling this Callista, leveling up to 4, putting a couple knights in, slamming the Shojins. Is Jose going to do it though? Yep, here we go. Full commit, slam the Shojins. Yeah.
You know me, it's like I read mouse movement like a psychic reads tea leaves.
Yeah.
Right? And what I saw there was someone who might not be very excited to run this comp.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like it presented itself, and there's always that argument to go, I know this is the comp. I'm good enough at the game to understand that I should be going MF right now, right? Am I good at driving it? We'll see. And
Yeah.
and that is kind of what I felt from those actions there.
100% agree with you. It's the, I'm not super excited, but sure, we're gonna do it, and have to see if it ends up working out for the best. I think it's a very, very fine spot, very solid spot to be able to go that direction with. Yeah, we'll see a bit later. Moving on over to Zero Gravity Bear. Again with the Hellions. No Tristana's hover at this point, and they've already lost 4-0 in their first round. It's just, again, running it back. Not really much else to say about it, right? It's just the full slamming items, full commit. Just need to land on the units.
Just hit,
Just
sometimes
hit.
that's just what you need to do. We're gonna we still could go Hellions, right? The packs haven't been super friendly for us, but Zero Gravity Bear experiencing a little bit of extra gravity today overall, as the Last Whisper is going to be locked in. So yeah, we're committed to that Tristana at this point. We're going to go ahead and put those items onto the Callista to start off. We are trying to hedge our bets a little bit and take down a unit or two before falling, and that could be a really great way to do it. Where is this Callista Spear going to go, if it even happens?
It's not going to happen, unfortunately. So we're again going to kill 0 units after slamming the Warmogs, which isn't even a fantastic item to have in this board. Like, you really want to utilize the belts for at least one Morellos for the Kennen. Warmogs is going to be okay for a frontliner, and hey, we land on a Kennen, but again, no items. Still an awkward spot to be in. Has to sell now the Callistas to even fit all the units on the board and still make 20. These items are going to be kind of stuck on the bench because you don't want to commit the Last Whisper or anything else. Maybe a Kled, and then you can just say that, okay, we're not going for Kled 3. We're just going to be satisfied with the Kled 2 and then roll for the Tristana later. It's just awkward either way, no matter how you slice it, though.
At least we're at an HP level that we could be comfortable with. We've been more on the hemorrhaging side of HP the last 2 lobbies. But again, if no one else is contesting this, Zero Gravity Bear can win the lobby with the Hellion Cannoneer composition. And we just, again, just need to get there first, as Yiggles is going to start out with a stronger comp than usual. Maybe we'll get to hang out on the top side of the leaderboard instead of holding on for dear life on the bottom.
Yeah, the rounds have not really gone Zero Gravity Bear's way. I think it's gotten 4-0'd for 3 fights in a row. Because, yeah, that must be. Because they're down at 76. Some quick maths can show us that one. Not the best at math, though, but I think I'm right about that. Either way, still a 10 HP gap between 7th and 8th. Move over to Devless's POV. They're towards the middle of the pack. Did have a couple of rounds lost, but it wasn't too bad. Gets to grab a 3 gold tier, which is absolutely fantastic. And oh, do they ever aggressively drop a double Archangels? Probably not. It's probably gonna be saved for a Shojins, but might be fun to do that.
Fun doesn't necessarily always mean success, and you know what?
No,
that's okay.
Definitely not.
That's okay sometimes. I think fun can be a little bit more important than success. That is, I'll die with that.
What about both? How can we get both?
Sometimes you don't have the opportunity to get both.
Oh no, that's not a world I want to be in.
If you had to choose one or the other, I would go with fun. But with 14 points, Devless definitely competing for that overall fight night win. I think one of the few players that have top forward both lobbies.
Yeah,
and we're going up against the Jirachi, who is got a couple Dawnbringers with the Bloodthirster in the front line. This could eventually, anytime you see Bloodthirster, you're gonna be moving that onto a standard auto attack based champ. So that could be an Aphelios again a little later on, but that wasn't a great big success for us, as that we finished in 5th with that Aphelios comp.
No, and Jirachi is not doing a very good job at stabilizing early game like they so like to do. In fact, with slamming all the items and leveling up to 5, Jirachi is in 7th currently. So a bit unfortunate of a start there. And speaking of the players who have top forward both games, it is actually only Yiggles and Devless who have. Every single other player has had at least one bot 4 over the past 2 games. Not something we see all the time. But definitely players just kind of separating themselves from the rest of the pack.
Jose Paulo sticking around on that misfortune and might regret it just a tad, especially since that comp hasn't really moved forward outside of levels. But we're actually in 3rd place, so that comp does like to lose HP early on as you're rolling. So you could actually argue that they're in a really great position. As Zero Gravity Bear, different position than great right now, as we're going to lose out another round. And what's going on with these Hellions, Khroen? Is it just we're not hitting when it comes to Zero Gravity Bear? Is it a positioning diff? Like, why have they failed every single time we've seen them? And if you go on a website, it might be, you know, the top comp on that list. What's the difference there?
It is a combination of a few things, I think. Number one, being not hitting. So Gravity Bear has not really had the Tristanas that they need to stabilize at certain key points. And also, for the past 2 games being contested. It's possible that if Zero Gravity Bear is not contested this game, even that they're, you know, hemorrhaging HP, they can still stabilize, you know, very, very fine, very well. So hopefully that will be the case here. But also 3rd, I think it is going to be a little bit of that positioning. I think you need to be very acutely aware of your 3 specific matchups that you're going to run into, and have your Tristana not jump into that, you know, clump of CC where she's going to get, you know, CC'd and bursted and taken out. And I think those are all things that have not quite gone Zero Gravity Bear's way up until this point, at least.
Okay, things are not really going Jirachi's way either right now. Only 10 HP above Zero Gravity Bear, who has noticeably been having a little bit of a hard time on those Hellions. Now that Jirachi is looking, it kind of reminds me of like when you're hungry and you go to your refrigerator a couple times hoping something is manifested in there that you actually want to eat, right? What Jirachi's doing is just like hoping that the comps that are stronger than theirs don't actually exist. Right? Maybe they won't be there on the 2nd scout around, but at least we're not getting wiped. Nidalee can be depended on for a couple units. Sometimes Nidalee will just pop off and take down a couple more than you expect. Just like that, 3 individual units for that Nidalee. That could have been rough for Jirachi, but now we're tied as Zero Gravity Bear wins the round. And anytime the Hellion player does start to stabilize, that's when you start collectively as a lobby feeling a little bit of fear.
Jirachi feeling a bit of fear, actually a lot of fear right now. They're rolled down to actually 0 gold in order to stabilize here. Hit's not really a 2, which is a big hit, and they still have 4 Dawnbringer, or they do now have Dawnbringer with still the Nidalee 2. So I think this was a good roll down, and it's going to allow Jirachi, you know, time to stabilize, recuperate a lot of that gold loss, probably sell the double Rakan. In order to make 10, but still, that was decent what we've landed on here.
Sometimes decent is all we're gonna get, right? And we just have to run with that. And we are going to stabilize. And if we didn't, that would have been an absolute travesty for Jirachi. So at least we know we're not the weakest in the lobby, but that was the pillow fight. I call it the pillow fight whenever 7 and 8 go up against each other.
It definitely
Jirachi does win
is.
it. Yeah, or the wet noodle fight or the pool noodle fight, right? It's just not really gonna be doing much in terms of the overall game, but at least Jirachi can live on that win. It's so crazy to see how much slower these lobbies have been versus our first one, which is why Zero Gravity Bear was able to hang on a little bit longer as opposed to that 2nd lobby as opposed to that 1st lobby. Is these power levels aren't like sprinting to the end like they did in those first 2 lobbies is what it felt like.
Definitely. Buzzboo running I would say a little bit of an unorthodox mid-game board. The Abomination, very standard, but 4 Legionnaires at this point, not really so standard, actually. And they've slammed an Ionic Spark on the brand, which is okay. And I guess if you got an extra rod and a cloak, you know, might as well. Sure, it's going to be decent for the Abomination. Randomly rolled into a Draven as well, which is why we're running it. And it's still going to be just enough to allow Buzzboo to keep on win streaking. Like, there is times where TFT players are so stubborn and won't go for a board like this just because they're not used to it. But BuzzBee was able to recognize like this is the strongest board at this point, with items, with units and everything, and win streak with it. It's just a very impressive skill that is kind of hard to recognize, honestly, in a lot of situations.
And I want to actually keep talking about that because of all sets, this set rewards that particular skill the most,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I think top tier skill expression with all the variables in the late game is really interesting. It might feel a little bit RNG-y, but the way that the players utilize these emblems, utilize these late game opportunities will affect the outcome of that game and could bring you to that victory. A decision here at 96 HP, right, might end up being a win at round 7-1 a little bit later. But it's also nice to see Yiggles not having to work, as hard potentially at the top of the leaderboard. But I honestly think if you're pacing the lobby, you're probably doing more than most people every round.
Yeah, definitely. BuzzBee wants to decide whether they want to run the Forgotten to buff the Draven, or the Brawler for more frontline. I mean, there's still a lot of frontline in this comp between, the even just the Irelia and Riven up there in the Nunu, as well as the Abomination coming through. But thinks that more with the set is going to be beneficial. Esports still so strong. Dodges the Yiggles matchup, does run into Devilish, but it's going to be, of course, stronger. Oh man, the Abomination ran into the two units, they just actually evaporated in the backline. That wasn't even close. And that's what happens when you're in this spot where you're win streaking and try to protect it. You level to 7 very aggressively, still have at least 20 gold, and have a strong board. Every single unit does something very impactful, whether it be just baseline unit strength or synergy strength. And that's what BuzzBee was rocking with. Yiggles at this point does take their first loss, so they're now down at 88 as we get into the Radiant round. And not only that, but Zero Gravity Bear is offered the orb, Radiant Blessing. It's going to give a tome, which is why we needed to see them get a free space, and it gives a Hellion emblem. All right.
All right,
Just need oh no, we have 6 already. Nice.
Yeah, I wish that Zero Gravity Bear didn't have like 8 million other things to do this round, so he can do like the Montgomery Burns Evil Fingers, right, with the Hellion spat. But it's gonna be attack speed going on to that back line. But there is only a Tristana 2, but with this Hellion spat, that Tristana should be working out pretty okay so far, as it's going to be another Radiant Trap Claw making the rounds. It seems like if there aren't a lot of good options, that seems to be the kind of mulligan pick, which is it's going to be useful, right? It might not be like the most amazing item in the world, but you're going to find use out of it.
It's still going to be like, I kind of give it like that harsh of a rating personally. I mean, it wasn't that harsh, honestly, but it's even, I would go as far as say like a very good item in a lot of scenarios. Like it is always going to find a ton of value, I think, throughout the course of the game. In some matchups, of course, more than most. But if you already have like 3 items for your carry, or sometimes even you just don't have any defense at all, like you don't really have in your comp opportunity to run utility synergies, say your front line isn't quite where it wants to be, it's still going to just buy a lot of time for your carry to do work there. So I think a lot of people do just default to that that Radiant Banshee's Claw is just a solid option, and I definitely don't blame them. I think it's fantastic. Zero Gravity Bear is also now starting to chain some victories together, or hopefully, because they did finally end on Tristana 2, and that was the thing about Zero Gravity Bear and why they weren't finding success. Like, it took so long to even find a Tristana 2 to stabilize, and kind of similar thing this game. They're already down at 30 HP. Even if they have like a couple rounds where they miss position or just run into somebody who's insanely strong, maybe like Buzzy, they're gonna keep bleeding and maybe go out in the bot 4 again because of that. They really start, they need to find these upgrades as quickly as possible, and even get lucky and aggressively roll down for them maybe.
Each comp has a counter, right? And so you start rock, paper, scissoring, and it is unfortunate sometimes where you finally, how many times have we seen someone lock in their comp, right? They feel good about it, they hit all these units and then lose.
Yep.
Right, we see it very often, and that could happen. Zero Gravity Bear does have a pretty strong comp on that board, but is it going to be enough? The answer is no, as it's going to lose out another round, only by a unit, though. It seems like maybe just by an Abomination, hitting down to 25 HP. Buzzy Boo did fall as well, so this lobby going to be another nail biter, Khroen, is what it looks like.
Oh yeah, Buzzy at the top along with Chung Money and Yiggles. Bird on a win streak. I don't remember offhand what Bird is running, but we'll have to check in with that a bit later. We do have 3 Draconic from Chung Money, potentially. Yeah, gonna keep on going with that. No Ash, so can't run 5 Draconic. It's a little late to want to aggressively run 5 Draconic at this point. Like, maybe you could consider aggressively going to 8, running it for a couple of rounds. But not much more to do besides that.
Especially since, like, if you do lock it in, right, you get a big egg, 4 rounds. Like, how many eggs are you actually going to end up hatching, right? Getting economy from the other eggs is probably much better than the advantage of getting that 5 Draconic, but it's going to be 4
Yeah.
Brawler. This is something we don't ever really see. And we're rocking it right now as Chung Money in second place as we speak. But this is not a comp that we've seen string together a ton of wins, but it is pretty beefy. That front line is going to be pretty hard to get through. We've talked about how good front lines are, but the brawler comps have always lacked damage.
Yeah.
But Yiggles will fall to this tanky comp. When is this going to start falling off? Probably by chickens, but we'll see.
Yeah, at that point, it's really just go 8, find the Heimer, and pray that we've, saved enough HP to get to that point. On a good trajectory to do so. Okay, looks like Bird is running some skirmishers. Has a Runan's BT and a Titan's Resolve on a Jax, and yeah, that's a solid mid-game kind of stabilization point. I don't think we've seen people fully lean into the Jax carry with like the 4 Knight Jax kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, someone already had a Teemo on 4-3. That was itemized with a few good items there.
Oh, there's a Jax with some Ironclad. Like, Ironclads
Yep.
seem to be falling a little bit out of favor too, just in general. The damage mitigation just might not be enough right now, as a lot of people seem to be switching out that splash for another one. We have some items on Senna, so this Senna might actually take out a unit. Sometimes I feel like Senna forgot bullets for the fight, but it should at least help with this CC. The CC is only going to hit the initial person, and then there's going to be AoE damage after that. But you mentioned the Teemo, and you summoned the Teemo, as Devless is going to get a 7-unit win.
Yikes. Yeah, Eagles. Unfortunate matchup because Devless was in such a rough spot that they had to roll down pretty much all their gold. Like, they just barely made it back up to 10 with that win. They landed on some fantastic upgrades. It's just going to continue to, turn the lobby kind of on its head when it comes to that HP. Did Devless have a Nikos? I don't think so. Because there's a Teemo here on the carousel. It's actually picked up by Zero Gravity Bear, who's running Hellions. So being able to add a Teemo to that Hellion board mix is pretty strong power spike.
Yeah, this lobby, though, still very close. 23 HP might feel like it's pretty low, but when the top player has 67, you're actually in an okay position. Your losses are going to really hurt, but at least you've got a couple. Right, you're not going to get knocked out on your next loss. You're going to be able to potentially save a little bit of money, power up your squad, and make it to chickens. Everyone here should make it to chickens based off these HP totals, unless Zero Gravity Bear and Devless get wiped this round. But since Zero won the last round, you can assume that's not going to happen, as this is a pretty early time to try to find this Volibear, and you're going to get those Revenant Mystics up now. We might find all 3 Revenants in this comp, but we're going to wait for our Fiddle for now, and we're going to put our Volibear in instead.
Yeah, we can wait for a little bit. Still want to run the 3 Skirm and 3 Sentinel, so it's awkward to take kind of anything out at this point. Maybe apart from the Sejuani, but it's the Sejuani 2. It gives the Brawler buff to Volibear. It can allow him to, insurance on kind of getting that ultimate off. So I think that's probably a smart move from Yiggles. Wanting to stabilize a little bit, being on a 5-loss streak, and it's going to be hard to do so because there's just no damage. Like, Senna's not going to carry with these items. It's still rough, even though the level came through.
Yeah, I don't know if everyone at home was seeing the targeting, but Senna was on Jax that entire time. Got every single snare on the Jax. And look at who's sitting here with full health right now as a Jax 1. The Senna could not get through a singular Jax in that situation. That is exactly what you were talking about, right? Senna's just not going to do that, as everyone going to get the emblem. What are we going to pick? It's going to be another potential Revenant. That would be 4.
Yep. And there it is. It is the Revenant. It goes onto the Senna for now for an extra round. I'm very curious about how Yiggles' 5-1 roll down is going to be. I'd love to go back to that perspective at that point. For now, we're going to be looking at Zero Gravity Bear, who is trying to stabilize desperately again with, I would say, not ideal items on the Tristana. Double Bloodthirster instead of like a Runeans or something. And gets interrupted by Volibear when she jumps as well. It's still going to be okay. Eagles is not in a great spot, so the Triss is still going to be able to output enough damage.
Everyone gonna want to draw Yiggles right now, to be honest with you. Yiggles starting at 100 HP for the majority of this game has sprung a leak at this point. Yiggles literally suffering from gravity right now. Zero Gravity Bear might be sharing some of the gravity that he's experienced on the bottom of the leaderboard with Yiggles, but Yiggles is used to this position. 2 times set themselves up for a potential lobby win at single-digit HP, but I don't see how a double Bloodthirster Last Whisper is going to really make it to the late game, but we do find the upgrade as well on the Fiddle. We're going to be able to move the Zeeks or even change a couple of these items. Maybe we re-roll some of our Udyr items because we like gambling.
Oh man, that would be a very, very intense gamble there. You know, I'm planning on going to Vegas later this year, Boop, and I don't even know if I would make that gamble.
That's why you should not go with me. You'll either leave a millionaire or
flat broke.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so we're gonna pick up a couple stronger units.
Big.
Heimerdinger gets picked up, and that Renewer buff is actually a huge deal. Where will this Revenant land, though, after you get to spend a little bit of extra time with a couple of units as they res and get a little bit of extra damage, as the double Gwen going to be swapped out, and we're going to put the Rage Blade, the Shojins, and the Tier on the Heimerdinger.
There we go, Archangels.
Yep, and now we're going to add a little bit more attack speed. The tower, the turret, of course, will also get attack speed with this Rage Blade.
So Yiggles didn't get to swap the Udyr, which is the awkward thing. Tried to sell the Udyr while there was too many items on the bench, and it's those awkward kind of like big transitional turns where TFT players can't make all of the correct decisions, and it's going to be okay, though, because Yiggles takes out Jirachi. Jirachi goes down in 8th.
This is the crux of Jirachi. If Jirachi does not get out to a lead, this does seem to happen. And that is the one thing that I think they could really get over in terms of hurdles. Ooh, 2 Akshans in this pack. Oh, that's 1 roll and an Akshan 3. Hello. How's it going? Nice to meet you. I came to the party. Okay. I wasn't invited, but I'm here. But yeah, that's going to be a pretty big deal. But yeah, back to Jirachi. Again, if you see the Jirachi at 100 HP on fire and second place is at 70, that's a top 4, right? But if we're unable to play the game that we're used to, that flexibility doesn't seem to quite be where I think it could be.
Yeah, agreed. Having a hard time to figure out where to put this Guardian Angel. It probably should just go in the Akshan, and it does. Took a bit to get there, though, because that's going to be, from Chug Money, a Heimer 2 on the other side of the board. Taking out Yiggles' Heimer. Akshan's going to be able to res. Can he grapple around and output enough damage? No. Not quite. Dropping on a 13 now is Yiggles. Zero Gravity Bear drops to 7. Might not have stabilized those Hellions for yet another game.
But we are not in last place. So, I'm sorry, I'm being mean. Zero Gravity Bear, though, it's so funny because even though they might actually have some good, if they finally got the units, it's the items that didn't really help us out this time around. And it's so funny, whatever is meta does not seem to show up as frequently at Fight Night Rising as I think some people want it to. Specifically, we've not seen a single assassin comp so far today. And maybe that's just itemization. Maybe we're getting some really interesting openings, but there has been not a single assassin comp, and that's been making it moderately easier for everyone to position every round, because again, when there's an assassin player in your game, you should be moving your stuff around almost every single round, as it's going to be Heimer 2 versus Buzzy Boo. Ooh.
Heimer 2 versus Buzzy Boo. Nice little rhyme scheme
Yeah.
there. The Draven versus the Heimer, but Draven's going to be hit by the Heimer and does not have any Legionnaires, so no healing. Since the slow bleed came through, no more damage dealers. Buzzy's going to lose this round. Drop down to 34. So blessing time for Buzzy. Curious to see what kind of emblem they get, as well as what they get on the carousel. 2 eliminations happened that round as well, though. Zero Gravity Bear is in 7th, and Devilish actually goes out in bottom 4 for the first time. Yeah, for the first time in 6th.
If Yiggles finishes top 4, that is a very good result. That is a little bit of a surprising top 4, to be honest with you, but to get 2 points over Devlis at least right now would be absolutely huge to set up for the win. Buzzy Boo did get 8th place last lobby, trying to claw their way back. It's going to be the Sword.
Oh, Forgotten?
And a Forgotten.
Okay. Can drop one of the Forgottens. Yeah, Vane's not really going to do much. Now we get the Kale in there, which is going to provide Legionnaire.
Kale.
Kale is a real unit. Kale is a real unit, apparently.
Using a 5 cost to get a Legionnaire splash. Imagine.
Yeah, I know.
But
it's not even like you splash Verdant anymore because Verdant doesn't exist. It's just the Legionnaire splash.
And so let's see if it's gonna. It is gonna matter, especially for this Draven. And the Draven is going to get some extra HP, and thank goodness for that last Whisper, because we were able to get through that unit so quickly. And, you know, Kale acting a little bit as like a cooldown taker and a little bit of a meat shield as it takes the Thresh hook and is going to keep that Draven safe because of that positioning, as we don't have a top 4 just yet, folks. Jose Paulo almost eliminated.
Yeah, that was a 8-0, I think it was, in that fight against Jose. Jose now, okay, has the Nikos, so can make Misfortune 3-star, rolls into it naturally anyway, and is going to Nico the Sejuani. So massive rolls coming through all the way around. Can Jose scrape on into the top 4 with this? It's looking likely, as this board's fantastic. It has Cavalier Emblem as well.
Yeah, a lot of front line, and this is going to be going up against a, in terms of DPS, not really a ton. There's going to be a little bit more for Jose, not a little bit more, there's going to be a lot more for Jose Paulo. It's Jax versus the world, and as you said, it should be a win. Jack's notoriously bad at getting through high HP units, but it seems to be doing okay right now. But again, Jax versus the world. It's going to have to be the Jax getting ramped up as fast as possible, but there's maybe a little bit too much CC. Yes, the Jax not able to even move, frozen in place there. So Jose Paulo and Yiggles both win on the bottom of the leaderboard. This 4th place is hard. This is one of those games, if I top 4, I'm like, I'm totally cool with that result. I don't even care at that point about winning the lobby based on how strong these comps are right now.
Especially for the players who are kind of having to claw their way into that top 4. Maybe for Buzzy Boo, you know, you want a bit more. But man, that last matchup, as you said, it's Jax against the world, but the world's just too big. I mean, Jax got through the Heck Room. Honestly, that's surprising in of itself. But couldn't get through everything else. Jose hit everything exactly they needed it to. This Guardian's Angel is not amazing. It's all right. It probably finds its way just onto the Misfortune just to try to, again, just get into that top 4. We got 2 rounds before Carousel, so it's not like we can really justify greeting out for that point.
And whoever gets the Ghost and doesn't have to deal with player damage might actually get a huge advantage in these next couple rounds, as they get to save HP inherently if they win those rounds. Remember when they were just auto? Like, sometimes you wouldn't win those rounds back in the day. At least for me, I wasn't very good at TFT and set one. But
yeah, when the clone rounds like didn't have like synergies and like benefit from things like that, like that was an awkward time in TFT because
they were just auto wins, right? While you rotate facing the same 3 people every single round, if you remember. But no, we're in this game, and that is a 20 HP loss, and we still don't have a top 4 just yet. Jose Paulo, oh no, it's going to be the Akshan that's potentially going to bring Jose Paulo another 5th place, but
wow,
they will fall. Jose Paulo 2nd, 5th in a row in a very similar position. Yiggles, the master at holding on right now, 13 HP and on fire. That is a very tanky board. Invokers online here because of that
Ooh.
emblem. And we're close to a Nunu 3. And, if there is a counter to any unit, it is going to be a Nunu 3 if they find themselves next to that Nunu while they're eating. If you want an Akshan to get taken out in one bite, that Nunu might be the way to do it.
Nunu 3, however, unfortunately was sold off as, need to sell one to buy the Lulu 2. And I think that is the correct move at that point. Chung's board is so good. Level to 9. 4 Invoker, the Invoker album, as you mentioned.
Ooh.
This should be an easy win into Bird.
Yeah, that Heimerdinger ult, that first one was all that it needed, to be completely honest with you, as we finally get a top 4? Yes, top 3 for Chung Money. Bird will fall. Everyone within 12 HP of each other.
Nice. Now, this, it's going to be hard, but I believe Chung Money still, with this game, can get into the top 3 at least, if not a bit more. Yiggles is definitely separating herself away from the rest of the pack with this top 3 again, being the only player to top 4, top 3 every single game even. Fantastic play.
Yeah, Yiggles is probably playing. I think we've had Yiggles here a couple times.
Yeah, at least once before. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely the best I've seen Yiggles play, just in general. And I'm peaking at the right time to win $100. By the last lobby, I do think that this means that there's going to be quite the lead for Giggles. Giggles might be giggling to the bank a little bit later, but yeah, the Heimerdinger ult not doing as much as they want it to. It's going to be the red side Heimerdinger doing all that work as Giggles does fall. Caster cursing it. Buzzyboo 3 HP. Chung Money at the top with 10. One more round, folks, is going to be all that we're going to need. This is going to be the first lobby not making it to round 7.
It will be, yeah, actually. That's kind of crazy. Both players level 9. Capped out boards. Just one item to make them a bit stronger. It has to come down to a lot of positioning. What can these last rolls find? Probably not anything substantial, and definitely not anything substantial for Chung Money. Is going to be the Syndra going in over the Karma. And that's just net good. Does Buzzy have anything that jumps in the backline? Was there a Viego? Would be able to peel that one away. Okay, there wasn't, didn't look like, but still, Syndra utility value is going to be big, potentially.
Syndra utility, for those of you who might not know, is peel. So a lot is your.
Oh, there's a Viego.
Syndra is very good at peel, and I've seen win rounds based off of an ultimate. And that, oh no, that Volibear ult comes a little bit after the shielding, so not a lot of value in terms of getting rid of those shields. But the Teemo Shrooms landing on exactly the right place. That's gonna be it, folks. As Chung Money takes the lobby win, first one of today. Buzzyboo does find themselves back in the top 2, so it should be Yiggles and Buzzy at the top. Everyone below them. It's going to be anyone's game again, but another close lobby. 10-3 at the end.
Yeah, that was very close. And again, it didn't go into stage 7, so people just being pressured so much earlier on in the game. And the rest of the lobby at the bottom kind of stabilizing earlier and then re-pressuring the top. So it's kind of that, back and forth kind of battle there. And it results in, relatively early ending. Still, very well played to Chung Money for getting 10 points on the board. And with that, let's take a look at the overall scores after 3 games. It is going to be Yiggles leading by a wide margin, 6-point lead, 24 points. And then Jose in second with 18. Devless in third with 17. Buzzy in fourth with 16. Then it just goes down the line, Boop. It goes 15 for Bird, 14 for Chung Money, 13 for Jirachi. Just a 5-point gap between second and 7th. This is such an impactful game number 4, actually. I'm so excited looking at these scores.
Ooh, and one thing that I don't like seeing are things like Devless' scoreline. When you go lower throughout the day, Yiggles is stabilizing really, really well. But if I were, someone who wanted to bet on if someone's going to surprise us in that last round, it's got to be who has the momentum right now, and that's going to be Buzzy or Chung Money, personally. Yeah. So if someone's going to sneak in to maybe that top 2, it might be one of them, but you can never count out Jirachi. You can never count out the potential, 16-point tie for 4th place for Zero Gravity, who I think is the only one eliminated so far. Hellion's not really being their friend, but at the end of the day, Yiggles can still lose this if there is a bad, last lobby. We get 8th, Jose Paulo wins, for example. That's going to be a Jose win, but look at the spread, right? Again, the only thing that is consistent is the inconsistency, unless you're named Yiggles.
Yep.
And that consistency is why you're in first place by a pretty heavy margin right now.
Exactly. So the only consistency is Yiggles. Everything else is just like, what is going on? We got eighths into, or I guess eighths into seconds, and it's just so all over the place. And I do agree with you. I think the players with the momentum, especially going to a game number 4 scenario, that's big for a TFT player's kind of mental state. So for Chung Money and Buzzy Boo, especially if they can have a good opener, they're gonna, I think, carry that very, very heavily throughout the game. Still, it is TFT. The roles are a part of it. Anything can happen. Yiggles, I think, has solidified at least a top 4 finish, but especially with at least like a 5th or a 4th, could still like, guarantee that first. Depends on where everyone else lands. Definitely looking solid though with that 6-point lead.
Yeah, something that we aren't seeing in terms of team comps. We talked about flexibility and how there are a good amount of comps that can win lobbies. We haven't seen a single Assassin player. I believe we saw one Vel'Koz player so far today.
Yep.
So in terms of those kind of secondary comps, the Karma comps, we've seen more Karma comps than Assassin and Spellweaver comp so far. But in terms of like Abomination performing exactly how you would expect, right? Actually winning a lobby a little earlier today. But the moral of the story is going to be continuing into this next patch, which is anything can really make it into that top 4. It's that win that I think really neuters some of the power. There aren't as many comps that can win every lobby, but we just saw Forgotten get second again, right? A comp that everyone kind of gave up 2 patches ago. But again, if you're able to re-roll into it, then why not?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of things that we haven't seen today. Hopefully we'll get a chance to as we do load on into game number 4, Boop, our final game of the day. And this time there are some defensive components on the carousel, so you don't gotta go all offense here. But quickly going back to the point of these compositional boards, like we haven't seen any sins, which I guess Assassins is kind of hard to force, right? A lot of very specific things have to come online, and you need to be ahead enough to like roll a Nocturne 3 to win the game. As there's there's no more Katarina in the game, so you can't rely on that to really deal enough damage as well to have a pseudo carry. We haven't really seen Yasuo either. We saw like a little tiny bit of Aphelios, but not much. There's a lot of things that are still on the table. It's just these players have to kind of have them on their radar and get good openers, or at least good transitional points to pivot into those boards that we haven't really seen so far.
And in terms of comp specialists, I think Assassins will always fall into that. There are going to be some people who just like that playstyle better.
True.
Right? It is a very distinct playstyle, just like how I like Kale and Aphelios and, just general DPS over time type of characters. Other people are going to like the burst and the crits from the Assassins. There's definitely a type of person that really likes playing Sins. Koala played Sins every single round that they were here. And was able to come back a couple weeks because of it. So in terms of forcing it, it's a little bit of a different world right now, but can still happen. And the opening is actually here for this particular comp with Jose Paulo. It might just be 2 Kha'Zix, but we're talking about Assassins, and here they are.
True, there are 2 sins. I think the biggest thing, the biggest kind of barrier for running the assassin composition is getting the assassin emblem, because you kind of need that for it to actually get you a solid finish. The factor is though, you really got to wait until say a tome comes through with the stimmy or on a late game carousel or something like that to actually get you to that point. Sometimes they can actually drop from like Krug and PvE rounds a tome, and you can get that at that point, but it's just very rare that that's going to happen. And at a certain point where you might be finding it in late game armories, you've probably already committed to something else.
Jose Paulo gonna keep it at 3 and gonna econ it just instead. Kha'Zix might be able to actually take a unit out. This Rakan might not be around for that much longer. Yeah, not fast enough. The
nope.
Kha'Zix not fast enough. So if the isolation damage was going to go through, that wasn't going to be a wipe. But we decided to econ. We knew we were going to lose. And again, like you said, it's about that emblem. We do have one of the components for that emblem. We just need that spatula. And does the world really need to see Assassin Fiddlesticks?
Yes, I think so. Assassin Fiddle is so good actually in that board. It's absolutely insane. Gives the Revenant buff to Nocturne, does insane damage. Like I've seen Nocturne just get like one shot and a Fiddle actually just like 1v9 the board with like 2 items, like Assassin Emblem plus just 1 AP item. Like it's actually really, really nuts. And, I mean, Jose finds a Pike, 2 Assassins. This could be it, Boop. Maybe your foretelling of this is correct. With the Kha'Zix being the start of it. Jirachi actually full open forwarding, it looks like.
Which is very anti that playstyle.
Yeah,
I love seeing that, actually. I love seeing that
adaptation.
And doing it like that is really nice because it's just like so different. You can't really rely on your other, your other skills, right? You're going to be open forwarding. You're going to have to be scouting. You're going to have to really understand what the rest of the board is doing. Because one of the advantages of open forwarding, of course, is being able to counter the lobby. So is Jirachi going to be doing that? Are we open forwarding just because we just had a horrible opening? We'll see. I have not seen Jirachi open fort, I think, ever.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall if I have on their stream, perhaps. If it has happened, it definitely is not very frequent. We can definitely just say that, like, baseline. Not going to be their preferred strategy.
Here's your Yasuo.
Yeah, there is the Yasuo. I love seeing Yasuo boards. Probably, I don't even like playing Yasuo on Summoner's Rift. I don't know why I like Yasuo so much in TFT, but just nice
like
reroll
all
style.
Versions of Yasuo you've liked.
I know, right? Like the Blade Master one too. There's something about Yasuo.
Rebel, even Rebel Yasuo.
True.
That one was a little bit rougher on the edges, I think.
A little bit. It was. I mean, it was more just supporting like the Jinx and Aurelion Soul at that point, but still finds his way into a lot of solid boards. Past couple of sets being the carry though. We get to see it finally in this game.
There are some old units that I want to see some of our newer items on, like, so bad. I want the Radiant D-Claw on the old carrier Asol so bad.
My.
And just to like see what that was like, to just see like the machine guns along. Not only is it the carrier, but it's going to be shooting spells off of that shield. But one can hope. I hope one day we can do like legacy content. That would be super fun. But
yeah, maybe
is going to be the word, it looks like. Bloodthirster. Tons of differences here in this comp. We saw Nightbringer already. This is our first redeemed comp. Even has an opening. We haven't seen this triple redeemed opening just yet. Everyone been favoring that either Knight or Hellion opening so far.
Yeah, the full Knight actually opener was there for Bird. I was running 4 Knights just a round ago. Didn't quite work out though, so hence the change. Buzzyboo, the only player at 100 HP thus far, which is not really, I guess, super typical of Buzzy, because Buzzy is very comfortable with going low HP and stabilizing at a certain point. So I guess we get to see multiple players running from a kind of atypical strategy. Ooh, Devilish. Potential of A-Bomb is here. I think actually this should be your in. I think it's gonna be more powerful than the Rakan plus 1 of the Vladimir 2s? Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm wrong.
So we did just lose that last round, but we really want to win this one to get to our 10 gold. And so you might be wondering, why don't we want to continue our loss streak? Well, because this is one of those situations where that 10 gold is pretty valuable going into the end of the early game. And with this RFC, it should be no problem at all for this Yasuo to cut through these Hellions. Which the Yasuo might be serving for dinner later.
Zero?
I feel like Hellions would be pretty gamey if you ate them.
Maybe, yeah. I agree with you. I think so. I hadn't really thought about that, I guess, but you always pose most like thought-provoking questions, at least for me, because then I actually sit here and get like stuck on it. Because once I get like a thought in my head, I like have to like process it and like really think about it thoroughly so I can formulate an actual opinion on it.
My goal is to ask
you doom me.
As many questions you've never heard of.
You're good at it.
As possible, right? Devilish now looking okay right now. Looking better than okay. Looking good. The 2 renewers in the front line should be good enough. They might not be traditional tanks, but with the renewer buff and the ultimates from the Vladimirs, they're going to be pretty hard to cut through without any healing stuff.
I guess so. Thinking more about the A-Bomb versus the double Vlad here, because there's specifically the Rakan, giving the renewer buff, and these Vladimir is going to be benefiting from Nightbringer shields as well. It probably is on average a bit more powerful than just a kind of a naked A-Bomb. It could have ran the Shojin on an A-bomb, though, and, like, have the Shojin on a Brand or a Callista. But yeah, like, look at the power of that Vlad there. That's, like, I think this is why Devil was able to win that round, because of not going for the, not going for the A-bomb. And gets a pair of Yasuos as well.
Khroen, well, actually, overtime hit at exactly the right time. Damage to a little. No, you're totally right. Without it, the Vladimir wouldn't have even been there in overtime, right?
Yeah.
So overtime Bell definitely helping, but the Vladimir pulling a little bit more value out of it than maybe it deserves to, as we're going to be at 19 gold, 2-loss streak for Chung Money right now, sitting at the middle of the pack. This is where I like to be at this point in time. I like to kind of bide by time and react when it's necessary. And if Jirachi is open forting and not in last place, something is going on with Jose Paulo.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Okay, Golden Nico. Always an orb that you're going to be okay getting at this point. A sword as well. Bloodthirster potential. I always think about this, like the type damage items, and you get it early Nikos, and it's like, okay, Akshan, level 7, high roll, and then just boom, stabilized. Right there.
It's that easy.
It's a
double level. Just double level to 7, right?
maybe in few rounds.
Hit Akshan at,
naturally at 3-2. Yeah.
At the one roll that you have remaining after spending all of that money. Lock it, and then buy it, and then hopefully roll another Akshan and then Nicoing it. That's how it goes from this point. But we could someone double leveled in Worlds. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I believe it was one of the Chinese players. I think it was Chuan Z actually double leveled from like 5 to 7 on the middle of stage 3, and it was like, we were like, what? Like that's something that players do? Like oh, that was crazy.
I think that, in terms of things that are still left to be discovered, I think that's one of those worlds that we haven't truly gotten all the details off of.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we're just so used to leveling at 4-1 and 3-2. And, that is always going to be, I think, where people on a new set will level and explore. But at the end of the day, double leveling might have its place, but no one's really doing it. You know what? I will.
No, I do 100% agree with you. I think that the opportunity for it to actually be good. It's like, I'm trying to think about the scenarios where you would do it, and it's going to be, you have an early game that you're still strong enough on level 5. You leveling up is not going to put another unit on the board they're going to be able to have too much value with, and so you save up a lot of gold with the level that you're not spending, and then you double level to 7 to then have the natural rolls and scale into the late game a lot better. Like it's definitely decent to stabilize you, at least. And speaking of stabilization, Jirachi has done just that, but stabilizing on an open fort into Misfortune Forgotten Cavaliers. I'm still worried because people have stopped doing this after the Misfortune and Cavalier nerfs, saying that it's not going to be good enough to stabilize after full open forting. But maybe Jirachi can prove us wrong.
Was it only a remover in that?
It looked like
in that stimmy?
That is the worst stimmy that I have ever seen.
I think it was a singular item remover. That is awful. Oh, look, he did end up going Assassins.
Yeah,
so this is what happens when you listen to me, right? If you listen to my advice, in theory, all of it is sound, right? Just like Hellion Cannoneers, right? But sometimes in practice, it might not work out the way you want it to.
Jose. 33 HP. See where it lands a bit later. I mean, looking a bit rough.
Can
whip
anyone up into shape, right?
Need to get there.
Exactly. And at 33 HP, there's not a lot of time to get there. And while this open forting might be working now, you might be saying, Khroen, you're being too hard on Jirachi. Why are you saying it's not working? It's working right now, but it's 3-3, right?
Yeah, this is the time where it will, for a few rounds, and then...
Exactly. I'll never forget, ninjas being good for exactly 4-1 to 4-5, and then that's it. Right. And so that could be where we're at right now in terms of this open forting, because I think the reason why it's weaker is the power level that you get by doing it just isn't as high. You're not going to get as much value out of it. I believe that's still a Nocturne 1, but we're going to get some good items for it.
Oh, was it? Oh, wow. Jose's 21 HP. Okay, it is Nocturne 2.
It is Nocturne 2.
And it's going to have an IE now. But I'm sure the singular item remover stimmy was not what Jose wanted. Certainly not at all. Nocturne 3 is so far away. We're still running Draconic on this board. just because there's no assassins being found. Now there's the Fiddle. Okay. Another Nocturne. Need to find a Diana or a Pike, something to get 4 assassins in. What is happening?
We're getting a little dizzy is what is happening. There's the Pike.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna get 4 assassins, 3 revenants. That was what you call very close to a Hail Mary in TFT terms. But Last Whisper, i.e., always a good combo. We might win this round.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Should.
see that assassin Fiddle in it's all of its glory. But the issue for me with Assassin Fiddle and why it's so good is why are those auto attacks so strong, dude?
I know.
Like, is that base attack damage just high? Like, compared to other units like Fiddle?
I don't even know what Fiddle's base auto attack damage is offhand. Gotta take a look at that.
Whatever it is,
perhaps.
it's too high. In my opinion. Let's see if this Radiant round
no.
is gonna be worth it. And
like, it's gonna be. It has to be a Fiddle item, which like okay, it's okay. It's not as much of an oh no as I originally exclaimed there. It's just like there's no like Nocturne items, but Fiddle's still gonna be obviously a very good carry with this board. So this is okay.
all right, vanilla ice cream can be amazing.
It can.
It
I love
doesn't
vanilla ice
always
cream.
have to have all those sprinkles and toppings. Sometimes just regular old vanilla is good too. And Jose Paulo, you know, assassins notoriously will bring you down pretty low HP, but this is really low. Like, I didn't know you could be at 21 HP and be running a comp at this point in time. But we did find the Fiddle. This Fiddle is 302. It's not a 302 crit on the Fiddle, but it's gonna ult here soon and should be able to take a lot of pressure off of the rest of it.
There we go. Still, this Radiant Bramble though, big counter to this board might not be enough to fully. Actually, will it? Uh-oh. No. Okay. No. Oh my god. No way. Don't tell me. Don't tell me this Vlad's gonna win.
Oh, but the ult comes out of nowhere.
Okay.
That was probably one of the most boring 1v1s in terms of games I've ever seen in my life. And so, unfortunately, not as exhilarating as what I wanted it to be. But thank goodness we got to that ultimate, because that Fiddle would have lost that round. Really nice item choice, blocking those crits.
Yeah. Also, Finn only has 60 attack damage at tier 1. So, okay. not that insane. For context, like Ashe has 60, Aurelia 1 has 65. So it's not like
it is Fiddle.
Right?
It's like, remember when Nautilus had the same AD as Riven?
Oh yeah, that was kind of insane.
So,
oh my god, speaking of insane, these rolls, what?
Okay.
Jose?
Okay, hi.
Whoa. He's rolling everything. He's just hitting every single roll. He's hitting every single roll. What?
Okay, so that was crazy in a very, very good way. That is a very non-traditional thing that happens. Literally every roll had something valuable in those packs. We went from not being competitive to potentially having the strongest board in the game.
I need a moment. Those rolls are absolutely disgusting. Like, there is no way that Jose should have rolled down that much gold and found 5 Nocturnes, as well as Ivern 2, Diana's. Well, yeah, did he land a Diana 2 as well? I think he did.
Yep, he did. Diana 2, he got all 3.
Ooh.
One day it'll happen to you, I swear. It'll happen to you. What a thrilling round that was. It's just like, hey guys, we're here. Assassin's gonna be a part of this game, and right now I would be willing to bet is the strongest board, especially would beat this board no problem, in my opinion. So Buzzy Boo with the Riven.
Oh, we got a Riven
so
carry.
Far. Yeah, we can tier 3 that Riven, and that Riven's actually going to be pretty strong.
Yeah, I don't know why Buzzy has 0 gold right now. Maybe rolled very aggressively to try to just like hit some upgrade, whether it be the Riven 2 or something like that. But still 100 HP on forward 2. Like, Buzzy kind of chilling. And this is the first time we're seeing like a Yasuo reroll as well as a Riven reroll too. So I'm loving diversity in comps that are actually playable in this meta. It shakes things up very nicely.
All within the same tournament. Right, and so all within these same 4 lobbies, I think we've seen about 15 different team comps, which is cool. At various different power levels. As Jose Paulo will hopefully make me not eat my words by saying it would win against this comp, because it doesn't look like it will. And it's
Oh,
going to be a big loss for Jose Paulo. So I think I got baited a little bit by the fact that this comp visually doesn't look super strong. Right, you're
yeah.
not seeing those gold units, but at the end of the round, it really shows up. 6 HP now for Jose.
This is 4-2, having a Nocturne 3, having Assassin Fiddle, and you're still losing the round. That's such a feels bad. As booping on 0 gold, I mean, these road items are insane. The synergies on the board are insane.
This is a
The
pretty
Fiddle
insane
jumped into the
lobby.
Riven, got taken out instantly. Just like everything went wrong
Yeah.
for Jose's board there.
Nocturne as well. Nocturne got taken down by
Yeah.
Riven with 2 auto attacks. Because remember, after that ult, Riven gets a huge auto attack buff, and whatever stacks are on that Deathblade get even more valuable. And plus, it's going to be able to take care of any Nidalees that they might see on another person's board, as it's going to be 0 gravity on their best Hellion game thus far, Tristana 3, with okay items, right? Right now we can get that 3rd damage item here soon, but it doesn't look like it's going to be worth it, as this Riven, even just at tier 2, is absolutely destroying this lobby.
Maybe Radiant RFC is going to be a lot better than I had originally thought. For this Riven, she did like 15,000 damage there almost.
Oh, carry Lux here as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a bit of everything.
Yeah, so carry Lux is something that I tried a little earlier today, got 3rd in that lobby. So totally a top 4 comp. I don't think it's one that can win unless we tier 3 a lot of those redeemed units. But there might not be enough time. But looking at the bottom 4, once again, huge separation.
Definitely. Okay, with that bow, 0 Gravity Bear will have perfect items for Stana. That loose glove will now be a Last Whisper, along with the Radiant Runeans, as well as the Bloodthirster. And the Last Whisper now can be fantastic, but I'm wondering when Buzzboo is going to first lose a round. Like, 13 win streak. Now, Renewer Emblem for Irelia can level up perhaps and go for Renewer. This Irelia, which is probably not going to be tier 3'd, but that's okay. She's still going to be insane at this point with being tier 2. Double Nico's help for Chung Money.
Yeah, we both saw it at the
just...
same time. Yeah, and this is the second time we've seen the double Nikos, and it's so funny to me. Maybe not to the players. That they always happen really early on, and then you come back at round 6-1 and they're still there. And I think that's why a lot of people could get a little frustrated. But if I like that the tempo is increasing on some of these Nico slams, like you said in the Nocturne example. But it's going to be Lux versus the world. Lux is going to need to protect that Leona, unable to get another ultimate off in time, but it's going to be now up to the redeemed trait. But Last Whisper on that Tristana is going to rip through that extra damage, as that Lux not going to be here for long, as 0 Gravity slowly but surely climbing up that leaderboard.
There we go. Oh, it was an
emblem.
Plus,
okay. That's still not amazing.
Yeah.
But it is definitely way better than just a magnetic remover.
For sure. Makes sense why there's so many emblems that we're seeing. Ironclad coming through. Alright, we can take out the redeems because we're not running 6 redeemed at this point. I'm liking this. Doesn't really matter who you put it on. It's plus 150 health. But I wonder if there's a world where Chung Money goes for the Lux 3. Just needs 3 more for it.
I think you have to. You've put too much value into it so far. But Nocturne's already in the back line. Jose Paulo, 6 HP, still sticking around. Just needs to avoid Buzzyboo. That seems to be the only comp that this one can't beat right now.
I mean, Buzzyboo has to fall off at some point, though, right? Like, I mean, Jose is going to find Fiddle 2 at some point. It's going to survive long enough, and I don't know. Jirachi open forwarding this game, and now down in what could be an 8th place game. Certainly a strategy that has not gone well for them traditionally, and not gone well for them in this game either.
Had such a strong start, but got to play their game. with that start, along with Devless, who has stabilized, but there is an almost 60-point difference between Buzzy Boo and Devless. And the crazy thing is that the comp that Buzzy Boo is running doesn't feel like it should be doing this. There are other really strong comps on the board. It's not like it's a super weak lobby, as Chung Money does go to 8 and starts to roll down.
Oh,
Oh, just one
okay.
more.
I was gonna
There it
say
is.
maybe if we find a Heimer, it's just gonna be a double Nico there instead. But if we just find Infinite Lux, there's another one. Just needs
We might
to
just
use one Nico.
move this
Okay,
natty into it.
no,
We're moving around. Okay.
yeah. I
Okay.
wonder, in a world where Chung Money kept with the Lux, was it gonna be good enough? Probably not, but like maybe.
It was probably gonna, if anything, third or fourth place max, right? But
Yeah,
sometimes that's okay. But Chung Money needs to win,
that
right?
is
And
true.
in order to really make things happen, and with that Lux carry, you're gonna be able to top 4. But when you need the win, this is the right choice, and it's gonna pay off as we take the dub over Devless.
Yeah, with just a Vel'Koz 1, has time to continue to roll down, find more Vel'Kozes, and hit the Vel'Koz 2 with hopefully not that many Nikos expended. Nikos being offered for Devless's shop here, and I mean, that must be so tempting, right? They're one away from Yasuo 3.
But you
Maybe.
might want to finish off that, Lee Sin or that
Oh, man.
Viego Cav for extra defense. We've got
Legionnaire.
Legionnaire for the lifesteal, and it's going to be the extra defense. Who is it going to land on?
Okay,
We
not
also have
punished.
2 Lee Sins, like you said, not punished. Sometimes you just need to hit. I would assume that a lot of this would go on Lee Sin. Oh, double Cav. I missed that
Yeah,
one on the bench. So we have 3 Cavs now, and the Viego Cavaliers is good. It's very good.
definitely. Also, Jirachi did go out in 8th, unfortunately. That round, we'll see who joins them soon in the bottom
Oh,
4. And oh
Yasuo gets taken
man,
down early. Jose Paulo, showing why this comp is so very strong. Might only be at 6 HP. Buzzy Boo did lose out and actually got wiped. 15 HP loss on whatever loss that was, but it was able to come right back. Bird is not the word today. Seventh place, as our 2 bottom our basement dwellers right now are going to be the ones on fire, completely evening out this board outside of Buzzy Boo.
yeah, it opens things up. I mean, if we recall what these players had for their points, like it was Jose at 18, Devla 17, Buzzy 16, Chung Money at 14. All these players still alive in this game. They still are contesting for this top 3 finish. And their HPs are so close between everyone besides Buzzy Boo.
Yeah, from second to Jose Paulo right now, it's only 22 HP. That's just 2 rounds, right?
Yep.
And if Jose Paulo again has a lobby winning comp, we just saw it completely neuter this Yasuo. Zero Gravity now also coming through with the Tristana finally, but might get stolen. Thank goodness for the Polymorph. Lulu MVP takes down that Viego. Now it's going to be up to this Yasuo to deal with the Hellions, but Yasuo gets locked up, gets stunned by the Senna,
Ooh.
and gets taken down. One more ult, though, from this Ophelia should be able to take down the rest of this board, but is not going to be close to it, as everyone other than Chung Money sticking around.
Dang, Chung Money going out. Had momentum from that last game getting the first, but was not able to utilize it to move forward in this one. Still a commendable performance. Stage 5 Carousel. Shroud picked up by Jose. A Bramble picked up by Devless. That's going to be huge into Jose. Trying to scout around. There's a couple other Brambles as well. Jose's board is so nice.
This is the 3rd time Jose has been in this position, by the way. Single digit HP,
Yeah.
5th place. The last 2 times
Oh,
it was
Foley.
not friendly. And we do get the
Here we
one
go.
of the last pieces of the last piece
Yep.
of the puzzle. Assassin Fiddlestick for the win here, potentially 6 HP for the last 6 rounds. Right, Jose Paulo has to be perfect from here on out. Riven 3 as well. Buzzy Boo, very strong.
Oh man, Riven 3. That's big. They might be able to beat Jose. The Shroud, oh man, goes into it. I mean, the Shroud has to land on the Viego here to get this whole clump, and it does. Big Shroud, is it enough?
It's going to be up to this Fiddlesticks and where... Oh, my goodness. Look at all of that CC. The auto attacks are all that you're going to need. I thought that would be close, but that's a complete wipe as Yiggle is going to fall to 6 HP as well. Devless is going to, okay, show us something that happened in the past, but we still have 5 people remaining at 5-6, 4 of them 13 HP and below. Everyone looking up Buzzy Boo. Buzzy could literally lose every single round and still get second.
Yeah, actually. 85 HP to 13, 6-6-4. Yiggles trying to secure the first place if they're able to get into the top 4 here, because if Yiggles top 4s might be throwing a wrench in their plans. The Shroud available once again for Jose. Gets to place it once again on the Viego. Hits the clump.
It's the clump. That CC on the Kennen not going to come until a little bit later. Oh, and this Nocturne with the Diana doing a lot of work. This should be another win. Should be is the idea here, as they do take down Tristana, and Zero Gravity gets a top 4 by the end of the night. That's a huge dub, I think, for them at the end of the days. Buzzy Boo actually loses, I believe, to either this Ghost comp or Devless. Zeke's great pickup for this comp.
Fantastic. Yiggles did go out in 5th. Okay, that's gonna be plus 4 points. If Jose wins, it'll come down to a tiebreaker, I believe. Ooh, spicy.
Yeah, you know, Jose just listening to, you know, the caster on these assassins. Locked it in at around... This player, I want everyone to realize, had 21 HP on chickens.
It was just like, insane roll down. Like, that roll down was illegal. There's no other word for it. It was actually illegal.
If you look back on anything, look back on that roll down. Because if you want like ASMR for your eyes, if you want like TFT chills, that is the roll down to do it. I think it's either on those like roll downs that hit or like really pretty pivots.
Yeah.
Right? That give you those like TFT chills.
Like jitters, like, ooh.
We might not ever see a roll down like that again. That was crazy.
Oh, man. Let's see it.
We go 6 HP. This is the comp that I think it could really struggle against if the targeting is good, but there's so much CC. The Riven, though, a little bit safer this time around, but we do get the Fiddlesticks into the back line. It's going to fall, but that's not going to matter. Devless might be the next one to go. Double elimination, please. Looks like that is going to be the case, maybe?
Maybe one,
no, 1 HP because it was a ghost.
Not quite enough damage there. Another Viego. Gonna be swapping his shrouds over again. At some point, maybe it's better to just, hit the Viego too. But we want to get every single placement that we can. Second place against Buzzy Boo would be impactful still. Just positioning game at this point.
Positioning game always becomes really interesting when there's only a couple people left. Buzzy Boo is not guaranteed a win here, especially against this particular comp. Is this Yasuo 3 going to be the game changer? Oh, it's on the Nocturne, but it's Viego going to pick him up, take the pressure off, but not able to steal, but is able to take them down anyway. A lot of damage there as well. This might not be a win. Jose Paulo might actually fall here. It's going to be this Dragon's Claw and this Lee Sin that takes them down.
No way.
Lee Sin MVP. That was the best comp on the board, no doubt about it. And you're saying, but it just lost. That was a little bit, I think that was like a 2 out of 10 possibility with that Lee Sin, but I now think it's going to be up to this Riven to win this round. Devless, 1 HP.
That was insane. Lee Sin against the world, and that was due to the Radiant Bramble or the Rose Thorn Vest there. I mean, negating crits is exactly what you want against Assassins. I mean, it's kind of like a no-brainer thing, but you got to see exactly how much value it had right there. Absolutely insane. Item remover. Now this Aurelia is only tier 2. Gonna take some items off of her. Move them over to Nidalee and Rakan. Riven 3, you can see in action yet again.
Lots of CC. Ivern's such a good unit. Daisy does so much for those team comps. It's going to be Yasuo. It does have that Nightbringer shield triggered, and it's going to be Nidalee actually taking a bite out of them. Is Nidalee this good? The answer is yes, as Buzzy Boo takes the lobby win.
There we go. Buzzy able to secure it. I mean, they had such a disgusting HP lead. It was like 100 HP win streaking for the first 13 or 14 rounds of the game. That was almost unheard of. We usually don't see that. So props to Buzzy for making it clean there. But curious to see where all the points do land up. I believe it should be Yiggles in first place with that, but we'll have to get some confirmation here soon while the scores are being filled out. I did, however, Boop, see something in the chat where Jirachi says they're retiring after Giant Slayer series and that they're going to be dropping a Twit log or some explanation at some point, but oh no, losing Jirachi in the TFT scene.
I don't want to believe that.
Me neither.
Hopefully it is one of those esports retirements.
Yeah,
no one is ever actually retired from
all right,
esports.
see you next set, like one of those.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that is going to be the situation there. But we do have our scores. Who won Fight Night today?
It is going to be, drumroll please, Yiggles, 28 points, securing it. Did bottom for the last game, made it a little bit spicy, but still enough consistency throughout the day to land in first. Buzzy Boo, though, even with an 8th, still had a very, very nice performance, 26 points. And Jose Paulo, it looks like, wins the tiebreaker against Devless to get into the top 3, but Devless still earning $25, still getting in the money. Wow, that ended a lot closer in the top 4 than I think I expected, Boop.
Yeah, that lobby win in round 2 brings Jose Paulo the 3rd place spot, and we're going to see them again. That is by far the most we've seen Jose struggle, and that was a struggle a little bit last week, but this week was a lot of single-digit shenanigans from almost everyone in this lobby, particularly Yiggles, who got top 4 and those 3 lobbies, I believe, all with single-digit HP.
Yeah, hey, shout out to Zero Gravity Bear as well. Me, Hellions 20 out of 20, did get top 4 at in the last game. Oh man, that was.
At least they had fun, right?
Yeah, at least they had fun and got a top 4.
Sometimes you like chocolate and you don't like anything else, right? Just eat chocolate, force the comp. And if you had a good time, that's all that matters, right? At the end of the day, we appreciate everyone that comes and watches and plays, and we've seen a lot of people get their careers launched, not their first time coming here, not their second time coming here, but maybe their 3rd or 4th, where they're ready for that moment. And I'm sure Zero Gravity will be ready soon. But we do have our winner, Yiggles. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, congrats. You had an amazing set of games, it top 4'd for 3 out of the 4 of them. Just narrowly missed out on that last game, but how are you feeling after this win? Like, what do you think were the reason that you're able to be so successful here today? Was it just, you had a good day, good RNG, or is there more to it than that?
I think I lost all the LP that I could have during the day today, so I made up for it in the tournament today.
I feel that on a personal level, that kind of mimics my competitive run as well, but yeah, no, congratulations again. Losing LP to win tournaments, that's probably a worth trade.
But so something that I noticed there was you top 4'd at least 2 of those with single-digit HP. Would you consider the closeness of a lot of these lobbies more so the meta or the players or a combination of both?
You can always come back from a single-digit HP. Like, as you saw in the last game, especially, the guy who was playing the assassin comp, I was scared that he was actually going to win, but because he was like 30 HP or 20 HP even at stage 3, and then he came back. So I think especially with the 40 HP, the new, I don't remember what it's called, but that thing.
The Radiant Blessing.
Yeah. Especially with that, it's a lot easier to come back when you're behind.
Oh, definitely.
And I have one last question for you. Like, we've gotten to see you play a couple times. I've casted you a couple times, and this is by far, I think, you played incredibly today. That 1v1 in that first lobby was exhilarating. And so it is kind of a day like today. What do you really think maybe you came in with losing all that LP and we're like, I got nothing else to lose. I already lost everything I could. Do you think that's why you were so successful today? Because you played incredibly today.
Honestly, it could be because I find that a lot of the time when I play in tournaments, especially, I get into my head a lot, and I get nervous, and that kind of affects how I play in the tournament. Whereas today, like, I honestly didn't even kind of feel like playing in this tournament because I was so demoralized from losing all the LP. So I could have something to do with that.
Honestly, that's some of the most successful that we see people be in Fight Night Rising is kind of similar mindset of just like, whatever, I'm gonna go in here, whatever happens, happens. And it's like the kind of, the expectations, pressure can sometimes get to you, but being able to circumvent that is definitely a very important quality for a TFT player. I do have one more question for you, Yiggles, just a kind of general meta question. As we've had, a little bit over a week now to kind of settle on this, what are some of the compositions, if any, that you're like gonna be finding yourselves gravitating towards? What have you found the most success with comp-wise in this meta?
Well, I definitely like the Heimer Ivern volley comp. Just because I think that's the most capped comp right now. But it does require a bit of like high rolling. And I tried to play it in I think I got it in three of the 4 games today. So
yeah,
that's what I tend to gravitate towards. And I've been part of the reason that I've been losing so much in ranked is because I keep on trying to play A-bomb to get there. But I think that's the best comp in my opinion.
Yeah, and actually, do you have any more insights of that? Like, why do you think A-bomb sometimes doesn't work out for maybe some of the players who might be finding themselves in kind of similar struggles on the ladder?
Well, because usually people play A-bomb with Draconic, and Draconic units aren't the greatest. And if you go 8 and you don't kind of hit Heimer when you're playing that, then it's kind of an 8th. Unless you hit Zyra 3. If you hit Zyra 3, it can still be okay. But I've had lots of games where I didn't hit either and then just go 8th. And also because A-bomb also got nerfed, so that's that also hurts it a bit.
A little bit of mix of everything. Well, thank you very much for your insights, Yiggles, and congratulations on the win. Do you have any shout outs and you want to shout out your social medias and where you stream and things like that?
Oh, well, I actually I don't stream too much, but
what if you do?
It's twitch.tv/Yiggles if anybody wants to come and watch when I do stream. But yeah.
I just wanted to say, Yiggles, that this was some stellar play today, and if you continue playing like this will not be the first time that we talk to you. So congratulations, and I'm so excited to see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. All right, Boop, there we have it. Yiggles being our champion of the week, played phenomenally, and I think we just saw a lot of phenomenal games just in general tonight. There was a lot of, from the intense 1v1 to, I think we got a situation, not quite where, everyone was, just like 20 HP to like 10, everyone's super close. There was Buzzy Boo who had to throw a little wrench in that plan, but everyone else was super close in HP, so we kind of had it all tonight, huh?
Yeah, we really did. I mean, based off of how that first lobby went, I knew today was going to be the day that we had, right? Not only did we also have that, we had someone climb from 21 HP at like 3-6.
Because that roll down.
And then we saw that roll down, and they almost won the whole day off of that lobby. Like, that is how close things were. And so just like Eagle said, never give up, never surrender.
Yeah.
Right? There's always going to be an opportunity. Like, there's so many times where I get my stimmy and it's 40 gold and I'm like, oh my God, right? Like, I have so much more freedom. Even if it's just gold like that, sometimes there's gonna be a comeback mechanic provided to you at 40 HP. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And for Yiggles today, it definitely did. There's 2 top 4s with single-digit HP, another one with 13, I believe. And we did what we needed to do in that last lobby to bring us the win.
Definitely. Hey, even if it's a 5th, sometimes you just got to play for a 5th or a 6th, and that's going to be enough. As you mentioned, Jose almost threw a little bit of a wrench in those plans. That roll down, I mean, I just can't get out of my mind. That was like actually one of the most insane roll downs that I've seen in TFT. It was like 10 to 15 rolls in a row that all hit something. Like
like if you blinked, right? Started with like the worst board by far. On the board, you blinked and there was a Nocturne 3 with perfect itemization.
Yeah, right? Nocturne 3 and a couple of fiddles, Diana too. There's just, I can go on and on about that. That was It was
That was
insane.
nuts. Today was a great day. Today was a great day for TFT, and just goes to show how awesome this set is. And always a pleasure with you, Khroen. And I'm excited to see everyone back next week.
Definitely, because we'll still be on a similar meta. So we'll see if there's been any changes that happen naturally in the TFT space, because sometimes there doesn't have to be any changes for them, the meta to really shake things up. Probably not in some insane amount, but hey, you never know. But until then, this has been Khroen and Boop bringing you Fight Night Rising. And that'll be all. So until next time, take care. Have a good night.